Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're glad to be here on a Monday night hanging on out. Now, normally we have Lon Strickler, but Lon had a family emergency he had to deal with. So Christian McLeod, the Cryptid Gee, is filling in for Lon tonight on our, what do we call this one? Strange Days. Strange Days is what we call this. But first, let's say hello to each and every one of you, shall we? Necessary dialogue in the gold medal position. Eye on the world with a silver. T-Bone taking home the bronze medal tonight. And Race Fan, how you doing? Nice to see you. Hi, Kitty Cattywhack. Undead Jed, thanks for coming on in. And Robert Lamoth, how you doing? Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because if you're not nice and lubed, you end up looking like this. Nobody wants to look at that. So Mel, thank you for the lube. We greatly appreciate your efforts. We really do. And let's go to Michael Morris, the attorney at large. Chris 14210, how you doing? Frankie B, nice to see you. Little Cam on YouTube tonight. We'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Missouri Man, thank you for joining us. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, What in Tarnation, Tina Smith, John Jackson, nice to have you all here. Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Cosmic Joe, thank you for joining us tonight. Rowdy Night in Motel 6. Look at that. They're dangerous, people. They are dangerous. Jaquetta, how are you? Nice to see you. Commonwealth Andrew, good morning to you. As we continue on with our roll call here. Skip to Malou, how are you this morning? And Tyler 420, nice to see you. Scrolling on down, where are we here? Where are we here? It's Blue Jersey. How you doing? Deborah Rooney, nice to see you. Deborah Rooney will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Ninja, how's it going tonight in the studio? Nice to see you. As we scroll on down, healing frequencies of higher 7520. Welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? And who else do we have? Let's see here. We got Jason Finch, everybody. We got Snow Baby. And who else is here? Well, let's just scroll on down and find out, shall we? It's Gory Tiger, everybody. Look at that. Would you look at that? Honest Content, how are you tonight? Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Gary J, how you doing? Nice to see you, my friend. Integrationing, thanks for coming in. Michael Leger is here. The Michael Leger. Nice to have you here. The Michael Leger. The original The, by the way, before The Doug Shelby. It was The Michael Leger. And where are we here? Robert Lamoth. Edwin Guerra, how you doing? And who else is here? It's Dr. Bob, everybody. Let's see here. Mickey, how are you? And thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And who else is here? Bobbert is here. There he is. Good old Bobbert. J Truth, nice to see you. And let's see here. KJM, how are you? Kathy Evans, nice to see you. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Christian McLeod filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days here. We're going to have a great time with Christian and talking monsters and legends all night long, at least till hour 3 when Grant comes in for UFOs. Crystal Cat, how you doing? We are just at the end of our roll call on YouTube. And let's see here. Where are we? We're caught up. That's where we are. Super Chat is open as well. Hi, Paramarv. How are you? You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Check it on out. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, my friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Head to cariboucon.com. Get your VIP tickets right now for the greatest paranormal conference in British Columbia this year. We have an amazing show happening tonight. Filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days from the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. We call him the Cryptid Gee around here. Christian McLeod will be here momentarily to talk about some legends and monsters. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another spooky story. We'll follow that up with the UFO report. Grant Baker makes his weekly debut. All right, we bring in Christian McLeod. He is the co-founder of American Cryptid and Paranormal Society based out of Asheville, North Carolina. Christian has been looking into monsters for over 30 years. He runs a ghost tour that helps teach history from the Asheville area. He's a monster hunter. He's a UFO hunter. He does absolutely everything. This literally is his full-time job, seeking out the strange stories that appear in people's eyes. Imagine that. Walking down a trail, out for a gentle hike with your dog, and all of a sudden there's a dog man. All of a sudden there is a Sasquatch, or maybe an alien, or a gremlin, or a gnome running across the path. What would you do? How would you handle it? Well, this is what we're going to find out tonight. Christian McLeod, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Man, it's just like being home, brother. Thank you for having me.
We always appreciate it. And thank you so much for filling in for Lon Strickler tonight. The reason why Lon is not here is his daughter, who is a couple states over, was heading towards Pennsylvania, actually had some car troubles. So he actually had to hop in the car and go help out his daughter. That's what a good dad does.
That's a great dad, man. That's what he should do. You know, he did the right thing.
Absolutely. So we're stuck with you tonight.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that.
For people who might be listening to you for the first time, tell us how your story into this adventure began.
Honestly, the whole thing began when I was a kid. I was from a small town in Maine, and I was on a hike with my papa, and we looked down and saw these massive footprints in the mud. And my grandfather, he was a World War II vet, and after World War II, he spent a year in Alaska just to get. He was a pilot, and just to get his stuff back together. He went and spent a year pretty much in Alaska, in the middle of nowhere, and he looked down at these footprints and he said, "The boss of the woods is here." And he grabbed me and my cousin and took us back. And ever since then, took us back to my house. And ever since then, I've just kind of been fascinated with it. But that's how it all originally started. It was just, we're out for a hike, northern Appalachian Mountains in Maine, and look down and see this massive footprint. And I knew it was huge because, it was, my grandfather, I don't know how big his feet were because I was just a little kid, but I mean, they were double the size of his, the footprints we saw. So, and I'd never seen him nervous before. And when he saw that, because they were still, you could tell they were fresh because water was still puddling in them. And he just got us out of there. And then, he went back to my parents' house and he was asking my dad what was going on back there because he told him about the footprints. And my dad just kind of blew it off. And I remember it was funny because it was the first time I'd ever seen my papa thump the back of my dad's head, like, "What's wrong with you?" kind of thing. And it was funny because my dad did that to me, and I saw his dad do that to him because he just made me laugh because he wasn't paying attention the way my grandfather thought he should have been. And he actually went and he went back to his house and brought more guns back for my dad because he didn't think there was enough guns in the house. But that's how it all. That was the original. That's the origin story right there. That's the big one. And then the paranormal stuff, of course, growing up where I'm from, everyone I knew had graveyards in their yards, in their front yards. So everyone had some kind of paranormal activity in their house. And my house the foundation of my house was built in 1620. So you're talking old. It was part of the Massachusetts colony originally. So everything in that area was all built up. It was all colonial. And everyone was, we were all very aware of it. We used to talk about it, even in elementary school. So it's just something I grew up with. And then later on, when I went to college, they didn't have all the paranormal stories and things like that. And I always thought it was a little weird. And I just kind of fell into it from there. We had something happen. And then I just started doing a little investigation. And one thing led to another. And here I am.
Do you enjoy it? I mean,
I love it.
Because I'll be honest with you. I was out for dinner tonight, and we were out with some friends, and that I work with during my daytime job. And one of the ladies, she's very, very Christian, like Christian times 10. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But I said to my buddy Kevin, and she overheard. I said, "Hey, we'll see you this weekend." She goes, "Well, but you guys are getting it together this weekend and you didn't invite us?" I said, "Well, I don't really think you would enjoy what we are doing tonight or on this weekend." And she goes, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "We're going to hunt down ghosts." And oh my goodness, you shouldn't be doing that. You don't know what you're dealing with. And they attach to you and you take them home and all this. And I said, "Yeah, it's happened before. Not a big deal." And anyways, this field isn't for everybody. There's a lot of people who get scared by this, whether it's because of their religious beliefs, whether it's their personal experience, whether it's something that they just feel uncomfortable with. Why do you put yourself into the forefront in trying to learn these mysteries?
Because no one else will let me do it to them. It just kind of feels natural. I mean, I wouldn't want to ask someone else to do something I wouldn't do in the paranormal world. And, I'm not that bright, Dave, as we both know. So I'll kind of jump into a bad situation. And if it's really, really bad, then, I'm counting on my luck to get me out of it. And if not, I've made peace. I've had a good run, but it's just one of these things. I don't want anyone else getting hurt, so I'll do it. I honestly what am I gonna do? Put my Christina in trouble? I can't let anything happen to Christina. So I mean, that's kind of why she gets mad at me, because we'll decide, well, okay, I'm doing this, and she's like, what am I doing? I'm like, you're in the car, you know, or we'll be out in the woods or something. Well, no, you stay here. It's one of those things. So it's just, it depends on the situation, honestly, because you never know what's going to happen. I'm convinced we're still going through that Bray Road footage we have, and I'm convinced Christina actually got something on camera.
Right.
And it's we're still trying to. It's at that point where we've got the still, but we're trying to bring the contrast up, and it's one of these things. Every time I look at it, I think, now there's nothing there, and then I look at it again, it's like, no, what is that? And then you can see the ears and it's just one of those things. So I like to give myself time to step away because I don't want to put anything out there that I can't prove, But that's just one of the reasons why we do that. It's because I don't want anything happening to any of my team, or especially Christina. So I'll do it. I'm not worried about getting abducted.
What is the scariest encounter you've ever had?
Well, it's funny you mention that because when we talked earlier and we're talking about our topic, I've had an issue with that specific topic we talked about earlier, and I know I've told you about that. But that reminded me of probably one of the scariest nights I ever had. My buddy Tiny and I were in Appalachia, near, I'd say it's in Pisgah. We were in Pisgah National Forest, and we were pretty deep in there. And we got surrounded by 3 dog men, and they were pacing us out, but they weren't happy we were there at all. Like it was just that thing you knew if we screwed up one time, that was going to be it. If that makes sense.
How did you know you were surrounded by them?
Oh, we heard them. We had one here on the left, one here on the right, and then one behind us, and there was only one path out, and they made sure we were on it. I mean, there was literally 2 behind, 2 on the side, 1 behind, just making sure we were marching out. But that's also where we saw that that specific entity we were talking about earlier. So I mean, we had that all happen at once, and that was a weird story. We'll get into that later. That was a weird one.
Well, tell us now. You already brought it up.
Okay. Well, we were talking about the Glimmer man, and it's I've had a few episodes with something that is, I don't know if it's just a Glimmer man. And let me preface this by saying this one place we were at, it had been a known hotspot in Western Carolina. There had been rangers that had shut 90% of the area down, just shut it down. You couldn't get there. They actually, I'd never seen this before, but they were actually paying a guy in a truck in front of a gate to say, no, you couldn't get here. And this is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of nowhere on a holiday. So you think yourself, what is it? There shouldn't be anyone out there, but well, there's a ranger out there in a truck, and they've got it completely locked down. There had been reports of Bigfoot sightings in the area about 2 weeks prior to that, and then we had gotten some dogman reports. In fact, we got a real weird picture. It was on a thermal, but it just, how when you get the outline of something and it's got the orange and the red by the head,
yes,
like where the blood flow is.
Yes.
We got like an orange. It was creepy looking, but I was convinced it was a dog man. And my buddy Tiny, he didn't think it was anything. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's a dog man. Look at it. We didn't have the original picture. It was just something that someone had sent it to us. So I'm like, we'll go check that out. And when we got there, the entire place, when we came into this one section where we could actually access the area we wanted to go to, looked like a war zone. It looked like a hurricane had gone through there. There was chunks of tree bark or trees missing. There was the path had been like half of it had been ripped out of the ground. I don't even know how to explain it. It did look like someone blew a bomb up in there. And
Really?
And I think what happened personally, just from looking around, because there was also blood on trees. I think there was a turf war. I think some xenocephaline and some Bigfoot went in. That's just I still think that to this day, because when you're looking up higher in the tree branches, I mean, there's 15-foot tree branches pulled down. You could see friction burns on them. You could see where something got hit somewhere, and just just like you could see where the thing followed. You could just see the incident, and it was but it was just so much destruction. as far as the trees and the bushes and the leaves. I mean, and there's footprints everywhere. We had I think 17-inch, 16-inch, and then we were finding canid tracks about the size of a dinner plate. So it was everywhere. And then there was tree scratches 10 feet up, and just looked like it had been slashed by Freddy Krueger. So I think we walked into the aftermath of something. But we just kept going in there, and it was getting to be real dense foliage, very dense. And there was like this, I don't want to say tunnel, but it looked like that. But it was just this only place you could access the whole walkway through the old path was through like this tunnel of just branches. And I remember we had to scoop down. Tiny's almost 7 too. So Tiny's, he's going down like this. I'm having to put my head down. And when we came out, there was just this big open area. And again, there was X formations everywhere. It was like on the ground, trees in the air. They looked like branches. It had one branch, I'll never forget. It looked like someone had picked up this branch, must have been 15 foot long. It was a log, and stuck it in between another one, and like almost twisted it in there. But it was like a perfect X formation. And we were in there for a little bit, and that's when we saw the first guy. He was coming down the hill, and that was terrifying because you could actually see him coming in, and then go behind a tree. And Tiny and I are like, we need to get out of here. Now,
when you say you saw the first guy, are we still talking about them dogmen?
Yeah, it was the first dogman that we saw. And he was coming down a hill. Tiny was looking around. I was looking at this stream. My back was turned. I felt something. I just had this feeling someone was looking at me. I turned around, and I just saw this black shadow go behind a tree, this big oak tree. And then I said, Tiny, what was that? And he's like, I don't know. And then we saw its hand come around the corner like this, and this is massive, massive clawed hand. And I pulled my gun out, and I'm like, we got to get out of here. And that's when we went back in the trail that we came from. And that's when you saw a black shadow over here, one over here, and then you heard one behind us, like pacing us out. And that's how we ended up leaving.
I want to ask you about that, though, okay? Yeah. Because I've heard, in the Sasquatch world, they call them sentries that protect the family group. They go out in threes, and they triangulate you on how to get out of the area. So if you try to stray to the left, 2 of them will move to the left, one over. Okay. Just what is that like to be triangulated in? I've had it happen, but I'm curious what you think.
It's not, I don't like it. I mean, it's happened to me a few times, but that one really, they were close. I've had that happen when, and there's a little bit of a distance, but it was like, if we knew if we didn't keep going straight, we were probably there was going to be an issue. At that point in time, we're also hearing like light growls, not deep guttural, shake your lungs growls, but we're hearing like, it was like, I think they were communicating with each other, but they also didn't care if we heard. Does that make sense? I don't think they want any problems. They knew we were armed because we both I pulled out 357, and I had no problem pointing at that thing. And that's kind of when I think its attitude changed. And we just, like I said, we made it very clear we were leaving. In fact, I said, we're leaving, we're going, we're leaving. And we just started walking. But they were behind us. The one that was following behind us was probably 15 yards behind us in the tunnel, because when I looked back one time, and I saw like where the light should have been going this way, it was just completely enveloped in black. So it was definitely there. That was a Charmin moment. I'm not gonna lie. That's something you don't want to.
How long did they escort you out for? Like, because they will take you out of their area.
But no, we were probably, I don't want to say it felt like 10 minutes, but it was probably more like 15. But it was just weird because at one point the terrain changed, and instead of having the left side bushes and things like that, it was a mountain now at that point. It was like, so there's probably a 25, 30 foot angle up this way. So now we've got rock here instead of bushes. That makes sense? So the landscape kind of changed, and instead of having something on the right, so whatever was on the right side had to climb up on top of that. Right. And we heard that. we heard claws on the rock. You know how you sound like, it sounds like when, you have a claws on a rock or an animal climbing a rock, something that big. We heard that. And the other ones, you could still see the shadow of the one on the right coming in. So we just kept marching on. And then when we got out of it, like when it opened up and we were back into that area where it looked like a war zone had been, it looked like there had been a cleanup crew in there. It actually looked like stuff had been moved. There was like logs that were in the trail at first, and they were off to the side now. It looked like there was sawdust. I mean, if they had a chainsaw, I thought we would have heard it, but it looked like there was sawdust on the trail where things had been moved, and just like something had come in there and tried to clean up the mess a little bit. And while we were walking, I pointed that out to Tiny, and I look around, and all of a sudden, right in front of us to the right, we saw like this translucent shadow. And this is why I always say that predator suit. I don't think, and let me preface this, I don't think this was any kind of cryptid or an alien. I am completely convinced this was some kind of military. And I'll tell you why. We saw this translucent, you saw this shimmer, just like in Predator, you saw that shimmer, but you saw the outline of it, but the guy looked like he was standing holding a rifle. That's what it looked like. But you saw that shimmer. And when that happened, Tiny's the one that noticed it first, and like Tiny goes, "What the is that?" And then it moved. It moved about 10 feet behind, and then it went behind another tree. So we saw it. We saw this distortion just moving in the woods. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell is that? Because this is something completely new. Now, the whole time we were doing this, I had a GoPro on. And if you know anything about GoPros, they record for like 10 minutes and they'll do another file and record. I'm not a big fan of them, the way they do that. That kind of drives me nuts, but that's the way it is. And it does a great job, picks up volume and everything like that. But I was really excited because we were getting all this, this was all on GoPro. This was all, I just changed the battery. We had a brand new card in there. I mean, this, we were going to have some good footage on this. And for some reason, I looked down, and instead of the light flashing red and recording, there was like I saw like letters on the screen. You know how we've got it in the case and then you pull it forward and there's like the screen,
Yes.
screen right there. I said letters right. It says files being accessed. And I'm looking at my GoPro, and then there's this thing here, and we don't hear anything back here anymore. So we're just kind of being normal the way we walk. I look at Tiny, I'm like, Tiny, look at this. And I show Tiny, and it says accessing files being deleted. The files were being deleted off my GoPro right in front of me, and there was absolutely nothing I could do.
That is so weird, man.
Well, that's where it started. And then I don't, I have a colorful vocabulary, as you know. So I don't remember what I said. I want to say, I think I said sweet thunder and Jesus, what the is this? And I heard it sounded like a guy kind of laughing. Like, like one of those kind of things. And then we're looking over there, and then that distortion comes from back out behind the tree, and it starts climbing up the little cliff area. And you can see where it's grabbing stuff and moving. But I'm convinced it was a guy. So we just said, screw it. This isn't our day. Let's get out of here. And we start walking back to where the cars were parked. And this all takes place over a couple miles. So, I mean, this is happening in real time. But, we're not, this isn't happening instantly. We're kind of doing this, one station at a time. And right before we get to where the cars are, probably a mile before the cars, all of a sudden, these two guys come out of the woods on both sides. Like, one guy comes from the left, and one guy comes from the right, and they block our path off.
Wow.
And he goes, are you driving that effing blue Subaru? And at that point, I'm like, yeah. And this really surprised me because one of the guys was really short.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to finish this story when we come back. Christian McLeod from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days tonight. Monster Talk, scary stories of when you encounter a cryptid in the forest. All right, buddy. Hi there to Scoose. Lisa Smith, how are you? Blue Cruz, nice to see you. Free Your Mind, thank you for joining our membership on YouTube. We love you. Thank you. And Goot, how you doing? That's now one of my 1A names on YouTube. Dry Toast is number one. Goot is the next one. Oh, there he is, everybody. Number 34 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Magnus for Magnuson, how you doing? Who am I missing here? Apparently, few people like the haircut and beard trim.
You look good.
You know what? I'm feeling much better, dude.
You look good.
I do. I feel much better. Joseph Richardson, how you doing? All right. Hillbilly Herb, nice to see you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I love this picture.
I know. It's hard not to.
It really is hard not to love that picture.
You have to wonder, what's he thinking? What's going on? Where's his emotions?
You can tell there's a bowel movement happening right at that moment.
There's a little gas in there. Did he go to Taco Bell? We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you kill me, man. Mac Movement, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? Matthew Goodka, how are you? All right. If you're new here or you haven't yet already, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We're literally, hold on, let me do a check here. Where are we? Oh, stop already. Just stop it. Dashboard. We are 41 people away from 30,000. 41 people away from 30,000.
You're welcome.
This is what it looks like when you're straining for 30,000. Dude. Oh, I will never forget that picture.
I got a phone call from our buddy who is responsible for that particular look. That's gone on off a whole different trail, Mother. I don't even know where to go with that.
Oh, yeah.
That has gone completely off the rails. Like, I'm actually worried about him at this point.
Oh. Mm. Oh, man. That is awesome. I'm going to quickly show you guys something here, because I got to get ready for a little bit of a segment here that we're going to do.
I'm going to grab another drink.
Where are you? All right. And let's go like this. Let's go here. Do we have time? Yeah, we have time. Show you a few quick pics here from our trail cams. There's a nice deer. There's a beautiful coyote. Oh, wrong way. Hold on.
Thank you.
Go this way. That's our team right there. That's Mike, Big Kev, Ryan, myself, and Angelina. But you notice here, right here,
Mm-hmm.
if you can zoom, I wish I could zoom in, but it looks like there's a person. No, right here. Sorry. It looks like there's.
It looks like there's someone right there, man.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I noticed. I was looking, like that was the first place I looked.
Yeah. Let me just grab the other photos here. There's a nice bear.
That's a good picture, man. Look at that little bunny.
Yeah, but where is it here? Come on, where are you? Look at this one.
That's a good picture, man.
That's a lynx.
Dude,
Thank you
could
tonight,
make that into a-
Deboruni, KJM, Nikki, or Mickey and Walter. Here we go.
Thank you.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. We are joined by Christian McLeod from the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society for Strange Days, filling in for Lon Strickler, who had to go out and help his daughter tonight. You know, when dad calls or when the kids call, you have to go. Lon doing his duty as a father. Good job, Lon, from phantomsmonsters.com. So Christian is filling in. Thank you for being here.
Anytime, man. I'm glad to be here. You know that. This is home.
Right before the break, you were talking about, being surrounded, being forced out of the forest, what it felt like being triangulated by these dogman creatures, and that you had ran into a ranger in the area.
Well, we ran into two because after that incident happened with, for lack of a better word, the Glimmer man, we had, everything. We just watched all our stuff get deleted off the GoPro. I'm still in shock, so I'm not in the best mood right now because now I'm starting the conspiracy. My brain's kicking off like this is blah, 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 blah. And then as we're walking, one guy comes from behind one tree and one guy comes from behind the other tree, and they both kind of block off the aisle. And at first we thought they were rangers because of the way they were dressed. But then when we got up close, we realized they didn't have any insignias or patches, but they were wearing like the green Dickie pants and the tan top kind of thing. And the guy asked me if I was the one that parked over there. And I'm like, yeah. And he asked me about my car. And I'm like, yeah. And the one thing that really kind of ticked me off, he started complaining at first. And I said, listen, I called 48 hours ago and told them I was coming in here. I spoke to so-and-so. They're very familiar with me. And the guy had no idea what I was talking about. And then he kind of he started doing this thing where that one thing drives me nuts is when someone does this and points at you and does that number. That pisses me off. I've never liked that. My old man used to do that to me. He used to drive me nuts. It's just a thing with me. But I couldn't believe this guy was doing this because he was a short little turd. And the other one was almost, maybe an inch taller than him, but Tiny's like 7'2". Tiny looks like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, if you were to shave a Sasquatch, that's what Tiny looks like.
It's like my buddy Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's wrong with you guys? And on top of that, we're armed. So I said, listen, you need to back F off. And I moved my, jacket, and he looked down and he sees my gun and he goes, oh, we're sorry. And then he leaves. They just book, but they go the same way they're going the way we came from. And they get about 10 feet. And I'm like, Tiny, I'm like, guys, you need to be careful. That's the way you're going. And he looks back at us. He goes, oh, we know it's back there. Thanks. And he just keeps walking. I'm like, all right. So then we walk back to the cars. We're taking our gear off. I look at the back of my bumper. You can see where someone had taken their muddy boots and put it on the back of my bumper. And
open you.
Yeah, oh, dude, no, you can see they brushed off the mud on my license plate. They probably took a picture. I mean, it was one of those things. But that was probably the one time we got escorted out that I thought we were going to be really in trouble if we veered away, because like I said, we could feel he was on the back and they were both on the sides. And then even when the terrain changed, we heard that one climb up, the rock face. And
yeah,
it was creepy, dude. But you knew if you deviated from where they were letting you go, there was going to be trouble. It was just, you just knew it. They were giving us the way out. They escorted us out. They're like, all right, be gone. And then, we lost all of our the record of our recording on the chip was so blanked out. I gave it to a buddy of mine that did computer crimes for the FBI. And I gave it to him and I said, this is what happened. I can't even get this thing to read anymore. And he put it on his personal or on the computer he worked with to do crimes. This is what the feds give. I mean, this is the most advanced stuff. We got to find, people doing computer crimes. And he looked at me and goes, I've never seen this before. He goes, the chip is completely erased and it doesn't even register as anything. It's nothing but a piece of plastic. I mean, and that was, that was what was in my GoPro. So, I mean, we had absolutely nothing after all that. So it was really a disappointing day. And then we started having problems getting pulled over and some other stuff. It was just, it's, you know how that stuff goes. It's not one thing. Like if you step on someone's toes, it's, you start getting pulled over. Hey, where you going? Where you been? What are you doing? Do you have a weapon in the car? Stuff like that. And it's like, what was I doing? And, they don't want to give you any answers. And they're asking if you're right. And they just want to bug. It's just harassment at that point. But that started happening quite a lot in that one particular park that we used to go to, Pisgah National Park. So we gave that a while. It's just, but that one sticks in my craw because, I'm convinced we just got followed. I mean, we were targeted, but it wasn't just by cryptids. The Glimmer man thing. That's why I always have a hard time thinking that's cryptids. I've heard several reports. In fact, I've got a couple that we can go over that, they must have been something else. Maybe they were aliens, but this one, I'm convinced this was military, the one we ran into, just by the way the outline was. I mean, the guy wasn't much, he was maybe a quarter inch taller than me, but you could see the outline and you could see his arms like this. And there was something else. I mean, it just looked like the whole thing had been, predator suit or whatever they call those blankets, or like in Harry Potter when they had that cloak, it's the same thing. And we have that technology. We've had it for a long time, so I'm just convinced that's what that particular one was. I'm sure that, Robin's convinced that, or loves talking about how Bigfoot can cloak and Dogman can cloak and these other things. I'm not buying that. I'd have to see it, but I could see where people would really freak out when this kind of thing happens because it messes with your head because you can see that outline and all of a sudden it's just distortion. And it does take a solid line. Like, I mean, you can see the light bend around it. I mean, if it's standing in front of trees and everything, and you can see it, it's right there, but it's just like a distortion. If you weren't paying any attention, you're going to walk right by it. But if something happens or it gets your attention, and I still think we heard the guy laugh. I think he laughed, something I said, because I was having a moment where the verbiage was coming out of me pretty good due to the things disappearing right in front of me. My access files being accessed. I didn't know you could do that. And then the whole thing shuts down, like the remote, the watch remote I had, that shut down, the GoPro shut down, the battery's completely dead, and it was hot. It was like I was almost going to put water on it. It was so hot. I had to take it off my chest. That chest piece you wear. I had to unscrew it and take it off my chest, and it was like hot. So I mean, it was just a weird situation.
Do you think that there are military teams hunting these cryptids, whether it's Bigfoot or Dogmen?
There isn't a doubt in my mind. There isn't a doubt in my mind. I will send you some pictures, some helicopters that were in the local airport that do nothing but fix problems. And that was told to me by someone that's currently in the military because he recognized the helicopters when I showed him the pictures. He told me exactly what they were. And the first thing goes, where'd you get those? And I said, well, where do you know them from? And he goes, well, I knew the guy that flies this one because blah, blah, blah. And we're talking, and he tells me what he does. I just kind of started laughing, and I said, I told him where I got it in the airport. And he's like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, man. And I'm showing him all the pictures, and they're all right there. And he's like, he's showing me where the tail number was on this thing. And he goes, that means this is so for this and this, and this is all structured and broke down. He goes, that's basically special ops that goes in and cleans up problems. That's what it was. And they had these huge IR. I mean, they had this massive flare, front end on the flare. The forward infrared looking radar thing they have. Thing was massive. Must have been 15 foot long. So it's just, I'm convinced that happens up here all the time. There's no other reason for that stuff to be around here. And it's in the Asheville area. I'll tell you right now. Pisgah National Forest for the last couple of years has been very, very active. To this day, right now, you can't even access most of the national forest from Western Carolina in sections. I'm not going to mention names or areas because we've been up there. So unless they changed it all in the last couple of weeks, it's still closed down. And they're saying, well, it's because of the hurricane from 2 years ago still. But, when you drive into some of these places, there is massive amounts of damage still, like trees all over the place. I mean, it doesn't look like there's been a rush to clean it up. You know what I mean?
Let's get to the Glimmer Man.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between the Glimmer Man and a cloaked Sasquatch?
Well, according to folklore, a Sasquatch can cloak whenever he wants to, and it's still a Sasquatch. A Glimmer Man, the original. I don't know if you know where the original term Glimmer Man comes from. It's a World War II time. It's a World War II colloquialism used for people in Ireland that were using gas beyond their rations, and then a government agency would show up and just take it from them, and that's where the name Glimmer Man came from. That's actually where a Glimmer Man, cryptid wise, is an unknown cryptid that can kind of make itself invisible. A lot of people think it's aliens. We have people that think Bigfoot can do it. I've heard people think Dogman can do it. And then we go to the older stories of Dogmen, where they show up in armor, like with the swords, and they look like they're all decked out like Anubis looked back in Egyptian days, and they have cloaking armor and things like that. But a Glimmer Man is different than a cloaking Sasquatch. It's a totally different thing. I think we've got sections of Glimmer Men where I think it's military, and then possibly alien. Like I said, I don't buy the whole Sasquatch cloaking thing. You know how I feel about that. I'd have to see it, and then we'll go from there. But I think it's military, because if you think about where it shows up and how you see it, there's usually an issue around there.
I'll tell you the reason why that I bring this up for our audience. We were back out at our Flight 21 spot this past weekend, and my entire team got to meet up for the first time out there. And I'm basically dealing with 4 new members. Now, Angelina, she is a paranormal investigator. So she's very well versed in the outdoors. She's a hunter, and she is very incredible in the field. Kevin, who's like my resident Sasquatch, he's like 6'6", about 380 pounds, size 16 feet. So we at least have something to measure big feet to big feet.
That's helpful.
It totally is. And I'll prove that in a second. We have Brian, who is former Canadian Armed Forces, who is also in a part of our local search and rescue. He's wanted to search for Sasquatch for a couple decades. Never met anybody to do it until he moved up here and met me about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And I'm like, hell yeah, you're coming out with us, right? I told Brian the other night as we were getting ready to leave, I just went up to him and I just said, I hate to tell you this, man, but you're a part of our team, and you're not allowed to leave now. And he goes, well, let me tell you something, Dave. He goes, I was going to tell you that no matter what you said, I'm a part of this team.
That's fair.
I'm like, good dude. And then we have Mike, our videographer, who has the goatee of 2026, right? Excuse me. And we went out there, did our thing. We checked our trail cams. We got some beautiful pictures of a cinnamon black bear. We got a coyote, a wolf tail. We got rabbits and a little mouse running around, and a lynx cat, which is
that lynx picture is awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
But we got something else. And I just want to, where did I put it here? I want to talk about this for a second, because we found a lot of different tracks in that area. Okay. But I've never seen one this wide and this big. So we were going through the back area by the meadow, a place that we call the meadow. and we could feel all eyes around us. And we walk through the meadow, and we're kind of seeing a couple of tracks heading up that way, but they were like half tracks in the moss, right? And we go into the meadow, and Brian kind of wanders into an area, and he's like, hey, man, I think there's something over here. There's an opening. Let's take this trail. So as a team, we decided to take the trail in. Okay. And we take the trail, and we start seeing about a 15-inch track line. And there's a couple of tracks that step over a log. It kind of goes into this area where literally Robin Haynes says not to go. Okay. So we kind of backpedal our way down a different trail and triangulate our way out. And we're just feeling like we're being watched by something big. And you know when you get that feeling that it's something very, very huge, Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We get that feeling. And it's more than one. So we start pedaling back towards the trees to kind of get out because we're going to head back to base camp. And Angelina looks down and finds a track. A very big track.
Yeah, but that's a good track, man. You can even see the mid-tarsal break in there. Not only that, you can see I mean, this is an awesome track. I wish you guys would have cast that, because I think, honestly, you would have had perfect definition. You can see the toes split right there. You can see the mid-tarsal break right there. I mean, you can see the heel. That is it. And people don't realize that's spongy ground. That animal, I'm telling you right now, that guy is at least, I'm going to give him 1,100, 1,200 pounds to do that kind of distance, to do that kind of, look at that. Look how deep that is.
That is,
step in moss and see, tell everyone step in moss and try to leave a track in moss.
So here's the big thing. In the photo, our radio people can't see this, but in the photo, Big Kevin, our local Sasquatch, okay, on our team, he's 6'6", and he wears a size 16 shoe. And in the photo, we have his 6'6", size 16 shoe standing right beside this track. And this track is about 2.5 inches bigger than his foot and about, I would say, 8-9 inches wide. So we're looking at about an 18.5-inch track lengthwise and about 8-9 inches wide.
I mean,
he's massive.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Yeah.
And you can see right where the big toe went in. I mean, you can see where it went. I mean, you see it.
And
that's
so,
a good track.
Well, now we knew this was a left-footed print,
right?
Because about 3 feet back of it was a right-footed print. So at the heel, there is a log, a small log covered up with, when I say a log, I mean, it's a thick branch, maybe, a 3-4 inch in diameter log underneath the moss that he stepped over. And there's the 3 foot, about 3 feet behind it is the right footprint. Like he's stepping with his right, and then he's turning to his left to go down a different trail. And that's kind of what it was. But the interesting part about this is while we were in that area, Angelina kind of stepped into through the trees to look into an opening. And that's where she saw something cloaked, like a Glimmer man or a cloaked Sasquatch, walking through the openness of the canopy of the forest, and then it walked right into the trees. Now, she said it wasn't running, but it wasn't walking slow. It was walking at a pretty good clip, but not speed walking. And she watched this thing, and she didn't really understand what she had seen until afterwards when we were talking about it, and she never called it out because she's a rookie. This is her first time out there, first time going to look for Bigfoot. So it very much was an interesting concept here, my friend, because when you're starting to get into creatures that are 18.5 inches, that's a lot of power on a creature, Christian.
Well, I mean, that thing's got to be at least 9 foot tall, Dave. At least. Think about that. I want people to think about how big 9 foot really is. That means if you're 6 foot tall, that's enough. Take a yardstick and put on top of your head. That's 9 foot. People never understand. That has always been one of my biggest pet peeves. I know this is with you too. People always underestimate the size and the weight and the structure and the power of these creatures. They don't get it. They can pick trees up out of the ground and stick them upside down if they want to. I mean, these things are bulldozers, and whatever made that, thank God that was in a good mood. Because if that thing was in a bad mood and saw you guys, I don't know if we'd be talking right now.
Well, here's the interesting part about that is we got about 3.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Christian McLeod is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. A lot of people give Robin Haynes, our cryptid Q&A reporter, guest, whatever you want to call her, that we bring on once a week. And a lot of people say, wow, she's so far out there, man. She is so far out of into the woo, and her stories are a little bit crazy and sounds so unbelievable. I've heard it all. And I know you've known Robin a long time too, Christian, and you've heard those tales about her. But I will tell you, Robin lives in, where is she? North Carolina as well?
She's South Carolina and Texas.
Okay, South Carolina and Texas.
Yeah.
She's never been up here. She has never looked it up on a map. She doesn't know what we're really dealing with out here. And yet she and her predictions are so accurate. She knew we were going to see things out here. She knew that we were going to find prints of the big guy. She called it right beforehand.
You know, what's funny is you mentioned that, and I haven't talked to you about this. When Christine and I were doing the Bray Road investigation, about 45 minutes before we're going back at night, phone rings. Guess who it is?
It's Robin.
And all she's telling me, she goes, please be careful. You're gonna run it. I'm telling you, she goes, there's something big. There's nasty stuff out there. You got to be careful. I'm like, okay. No problem. I got you. Blah, 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 blah. Sure enough. That was one of the reasons why I was like a little more cautious than usual. Because she literally called us 40. We're in the car on the way back down there. And she's like, you need to, she goes, I'm telling you, I'm picking up on something. It's big and it's mean. And she goes, and it's not nice. And I was like, all right, we'll be careful. And then, like I said, I'm convinced I honestly think that's how Christina got that picture. But it doesn't surprise me. I love Robin to death, but I'm also, I'm a very different kind of critic when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I've seen her in action, and it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to. It's like, okay, is it luck or is it just, or is she that good, or And I'm at the point she's just that good. There's other stories people wouldn't believe. I don't have permission to talk about some of them, but I can tell you she went toe to toe with a world famous author that kind of deals with cryptid and disappearances. And said person was in such shock after talking to her that he was befuddled, completely befuddled, didn't know what to say. And everything she told him was 100% accurate. And the only people that knew the whole story on a certain issue were that author I'm talking about, his friend, and the parental units of the person that it happened to. So, I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say, oh, none of that stuff's true. That's why I always tell everyone, I call it Robin's my 1% rule. All right. I give everything to me now is believable by at least 1% if Robin says so. So I'll give it a 1%, ability that it's real or not. Because she's just got that kind of ability.
She really
I think she should be paying us, honestly.
She should be paying us.
Absolutely. I'm going to call her and tell her I want some money.
Yeah, no, but it's amazing how accurate she could be, in just her areas. And I'll get into Robin with you in just a few moments here, because, we're going to keep insulting Robin with compliments here.
Well, it's hard not to love her. And, Christina loves it. Christina just
I love her too.
Loves her, because Christina's like, did you call Robin? What did Robin say? And it's kind of funny because Christina is so scientific minded. If people knew how brilliant Christina really was, they'd be like, what's she doing this for?
Hold that thought. Cryptid Gee, we call him. His name is Christian McLeod from the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days tonight. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy, we got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
Cool. Yeah, go pick.
Be right back, everyone.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, The 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of gold rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right. We bring in myself. Christian is still, meandering, like a lost puppy somewhere. We're glad to have you all here tonight. And you know what? We're having a lot of fun. This is so much fun tonight. Thank you very much to our super chatters. We got Mickey G, we got KMJ, we got Deborah Rooney, we got T-Bone, Walter, and Little Cam. Thank you for the love. Thank you for your mind, for being a new member again on our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. We're close to 30,000 on YouTube. 30,000. We're getting there. So if you're new here, please hit subscribe. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We really appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We'll get to Christian McLeod and Strange Days coming up here momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and I lost it. There it is. There it is. Qualtog. Qualtog is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Christian McLeod is here filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days, as his website is ACAPS, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. Make sure you check it on out. And you will also have a 1-800 number that if anybody has a monster sighting there, Christian, you have it right there for you.
I do.
What is that?
We actually, that 800 number gets used quite a lot. I'm pretty happy with it.
What's the number in case people want to report something to you?
It's 1-800-329-4851.
1-800-329-4851. If you have a monster story, a UFO story, a paranormal story that you want some help with, give Christian a call on that. Right before the break, I was telling you about this Glimmer man type of creature that Angelina saw out at our area. Never seen anything like that before. I didn't see it. She did. She said she watched it for quite a few seconds before it disappeared into the trees. What do you think that is, Christian?
I mean, if she said it was so big, I mean, I hate saying it might have been a Bigfoot, but it might have been something else too. That area, that could have been a paranormal event too. That could have been, a ghost. That could have been, a remnant from the crash. That could have been, remanifesting. That could have been anything. That could have been more paranormal than cryptid. Problem is we're not going to know because she didn't get a picture or she didn't show one of you guys. So, I mean, it might have been something else. I mean, she might have equated it to, a Glimmer man or a Glimmer person or a Glimmer cryptid, but it might have been something else. Again, we got to look at that area.
Well, she did say that it was standing approximately, let's say, 7 to 8 feet tall. She said it was well above 6 feet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, that could have been Uh, Definitely could have been a cryptid, but again, it's that whole phasing and shifting and I just can't. I have to see it, man. I have to see it happen before. I know you and Robin believe it, but I just have to see it. And well, maybe it'll change my mind one day. But uh, and again, it might have been something paranormal. Hell, it could have been an alien. I mean, we don't know, but I'll give it the possibility, the 1% possibility that it was a cryptid. And maybe it was the one that left the footprints. I mean, it was just checking on you guys. I think if you would have had I mean, I don't think you have a problem with it. I don't think it's got a possible problem with you guys because you've been there so many times, and I'm sure it's very well orientated with you guys. So I think it's probably just one of these things where we're just kind of watching you. And there's a very good chance that maybe it was on a hill or a root or a tree branch, and that's why she thought it was so tall. And it could have been someone in the military. It could have been military. You've got another. Well, you've got a whole new or you've got a whole new set of people with you, right?
That's very true.
And maybe they just want to see you guys in action. I've been told that does happen. I'm just telling you straight up. I've been told that happens. And when you start adding talent the way you guys have, I'm sure they're checking into you. It's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is.
I would normally agree with you if we were in the United States. Okay, knowing how small Canada's military is, and I know an insider who was his goal is to actually build a team. And he's talked to me about that. He's like, but I said to him one day, I said, well, does Canada have any teams that are out searching for Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, aliens, or anything like that? And he said, absolutely not. He goes, it's one of the things we need. Right. And so I don't think it was military in our area. Our military is way too small to be putting funding into that.
Well, I mean, maybe it's U.S. military.
I doubt it.
I don't know, man. I'm still convinced that I think North America, and I'm talking Canada, United States, South America. I think we all have a written contract when it comes to cryptids, aliens, or unknowns. I think that we send in a task force or some kind of team, and we assess the situation and see how bad it is. I think that's just been the way it's been since Roswell, and I think it covers everything. And if you can't, I hate saying that it's impossible not to see this, but when people realize how big Canada is and how much space is up there, excuse me, and for people to think that there couldn't be a Sasquatch, a tribe of Sasquatch, Gugwe. I mean, there's enough space up there for everything. The problem is just they've got all that space and there's no one up there to check them out. So I think that's why they have like an international agency. I really do. I know that sounds corny, but I really do. I think they have some kind of international agency that kind of oversees this stuff. If something happens in Mexico as far as UFO, who's the first person? Who's the country that kind of just goes down there and takes charge? It's us. It's USA. They just kind of go in there and do whatever and take what they want. It's just kind of the way it is. So I don't know if they wouldn't have something like that for cryptids or unknown biologicals or aliens. I just don't know. But I'm guessing there has to be. You can't tell me that all these governments don't know about these things, especially Canada. Especially Canada. I mean, look at all the folklore, the Native American folklore, all your native folk. I mean, it's all like Canada's like the epicenter, especially where you are. So if people don't think that there's people in the know that know what's going on there, and then try to cap it, I think that's ridiculous.
I will do some investigating on that.
I mean, that's just my thought, because I always thought there was a long time ago. I spoke to someone that I trusted. Actually, this person. We talk about it off air, but and he told me point blank when he was with a certain alphabet agency. He told me point blank that's the way they did it. They take rotations, and they take groups of people out of these rotations, and then they put them in like a different squad, and then they go handle things. To me, that makes more sense than anything else.
I look at it like this. I think the area has enough high strangeness going on that the phenomena in that area does not just show itself to anybody. Okay, that phenomena up there is so smart that it knows, Christian, who's there to pay their respect to the people at the crash site who passed away, and it knows that if there is somebody looking for a little bit more.
Well, I think they just pick up on, you know, they're very intuitive. I think they have the ability to sense, you know, who's a good person, who's not. Now I've always thought that, and I just think they can read people real well. I think, you know, I think they've been around long enough to understand what humanity is really all about, and then I think they see people like us that, you know, who could be trusted, and if something were to be disclosed, I think, you know, I've spoken about this before. I think you, me, and Robin are the only two people in the cryptid field I know that we could have proof, definite proof, and we'd be the only ones that would probably say, you know, maybe we should just sit on this and not say anything, because we've been more concerned about what would happen to these guys if the truth does come out. And I think that's probably why, you know, you and I have such or the reputations we have, because we're very, very honest about that.
That is very true. I would say that let's learn a little bit more about how these creatures move in the forest. You know, earlier you were talking about being, you know, in that triangulated area of the three dogmen. How quickly do they know when you're in the area? Like how, like, and I'll give you an example. When we get about 3-4 miles away from Flight 21, we can already feel the pressure like pressing in the back of our head. Like it's like they know we're coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
How do they feel it?
How do they know that?
I think their senses are so much better than ours. They can see us, they can hear us, they can smell us. And I think that's a big part of it. I also think they have a way of just, you know, I think they can just sense it. I think they have the ability. It's maybe called a sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. I think they can sense when there's something different in their area. I think that's a big part of it. I've also been in different places where we've definitely had we've had Bigfoot run-ins, and they handle it a little bit differently. And what I mean by that is, I think it's less easy to intimidate a Bigfoot than it is a dog man, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is, we've also walked into areas where there's been hunting blinds completely woven at a tree branches, and you know, I'm talking 2-inch tree branch. No human could have done this. It's not going to happen. And we've run into things behind there, and we've been growled at or grunted at, and things like that. But I think once they kind of see what you're about, I think they kind of read you real quick. And if they don't really have a bad feeling, they just kind of tell you go away. And if you don't take the hint, then they'll escalate. But I think if you came in there and you were like Rambo, you know, just guns blazing, I think that's a different story. So I just think they can feel the intent. I don't know why I've always thought that, but I just think they can feel your intent. They just sense it. Maybe it's a gift they have. I don't know. But I think that's how they do that. And I think they also move around the forest. I think when you look at the size of a Bigfoot's foot or a Sasquatch's foot, the way they can just, you know, the way the weight gets just distributed, they're like silent. I mean, look at that footprint you guys just got. Look at the distribution on the weight on that. You're not going to hear that thing coming. Look how big that is. And I think it's the same thing with the dog, you know. And plus, their natural, you know, I think their coats or their hair, I think they also absorb light. I think that's why a lot of times people think that they're blinking out or they're disappearing. I think it's the way their hair works. I think, much like a polar bear, I think some of their hair just absorbs light, you know, and it's just natural camouflage. I mean, they're designed to be in that environment. We are not. So I think they've got I think they not only have nature working on their side, but they've also got the evolutionary part working for themselves. So working for them. So I think that's a whole combination.
So you
But I
think
think one of the reasons why people think that they see the Glimmer man or the Glimmer cryptid is I don't think it's disappearing at all. I actually think it's a natural occurrence from their fur. I think their hair bends light, just like a polar bear's.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So you think their hair is hollow?
Yeah, we can't. Here's the other thing, that how many hair samples have gone in and all this testing? You know, when Ketchum did her alleged study and all that stuff. I don't want to get into that, but when all that happened, you know, why weren't the follicles of the hairs more scrutinized? All we got was mom's nuclear DNA out of that whole thing. So what about the hair structure? Why didn't we go into more of that? You know?
Well, I mean, really, we can't really figure out what it is until we actually get some proper sampling of the creature.
Exactly. But what we got was nuclear DNA from, you know, a 10,000-year-old nuclear DNA from a Mediterranean woman, an unknown father. So how does that? And see, that's the other thing is that to me, that's why the Nephilim thing works for me. Because you know, I'm a pretty religious guy, and that's why the Nephilim. That's why when people come to me and say, "Oh, you're doing this anti blah 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 blah," what we do isn't anti-religion. We're not doing anything wrong. We're looking for answers. Number one, number two, everything is biblical. When we're dealing with the ghosts, we're dealing with cryptids. It's all Genesis 6. It's all. I mean, how many times do they mention ghosts? I mean, you got the Holy Ghost. You can't get out of the Bible without dealing with the ghosts. All right, you can't get out of there without dealing with the Nephilim or the fallen ones or the Watchers. It's all right there. It's all history. So when people say, "Oh, you know," you or like your ultra Christian friend, you know, first of all, the only problem I have with that is, you know, there's people that say they go to church, and then there's people that go to church, you know, and it's like, I go to church, you know, every Sunday, unless I'm doing an investigation or something like that, or something else happens. Every Sunday, Christine and I are in church, and we try to be good people. We do the right thing. But when we're doing our research, 9 times out of 10, the first thing we do is, you know, when we look at Native American references, we look at biblical references. You know, what else could this be? Is, you know, and when you kind of cover all your bases like that, it's like this big whirlwind that happens, and you know, everything's related. So when we're talking about Sasquatch or Bigfoot or Dogman or Cephalai, how do we know they're not fallen angels or part of the Nephilim? That would explain their abilities. That would explain the fact that they can, you know, zinc in and zinc out if you believe in that kind of thing. Or that would also explain why they would have that ability to read, you know, human emotion the way they do. I mean, how many of these stories do you have up there of kids being lost and a Bigfoot finding them and then taking care of them? You know, I've got 3 in Appalachia in the last 5 years.
Tell us those. Tell us those.
Well, one of them, and you have to forgive me the dates. I don't have my notes right in front of me, but one of them was about 3 years ago when the kid said that you know, the bear was taking care of him.
Teddy bear
when you get to the real story on that, that wasn't a bear. That was a Bigfoot. And that follows a pattern that's happened before in that same area about 100 years prior. A little girl was taken.
Let's go back to that story. I know you're jumping here, try and get him out, but that story of that little boy in North Carolina who disappeared in the winter,
3 days,
was gone for 3 days, no frostbite, no hypothermia, nothing. Claimed that
immaculate.
Claimed that a teddy bear was taking care of him and feeding him berries when he got hungry and kept him warm. And then he was found in a briar patch, right out of a Disneyland story. He was found in a briar patch with not a scratch on him. Okay. Right. And he was happy, and that area where he was found had already been combed through at minimum 4 times.
I was 4 or 5 times. Not only that, the temperatures, he never, what was that? One night was 16 degrees and one night was 12. I mean, it was freezing cold temperatures. He never would have lasted that. His description is a Sasquatch. I mean, what looks like a big teddy bear? Well, you're a little kid, you know, and just take Chewbacca. Just look at Chewbacca from Star Wars. If you're a little kid, what are you going to correlate Chewbacca with if you don't know what a Bigfoot is?
It's a teddy bear.
He's a big teddy bear. All right.
And here's the other thing.
A dog, man. It'd be a big dog.
A lot of people forget about the skepticism. Okay, like the skepticism or the skeptics, pardon me, look at that. Oh, he was taken to a bear den. Bears are hibernating.
They would have eaten him too.
And the one thing that happens when a bear hibernates is it loses a lot of weight. And when it wakes up, it is hangry. If it wakes up early, it's very hangry.
Mm-hmm.
A child is a perfect meal.
Yeah, it's a perfect meal.
Okay.
I hate saying that because it's disgusting, but it is. It's a perfect meal.
Yeah.
And like I said, even if it had been a cynocephaly or a dog man, he wouldn't have said it was a big teddy bear. He would have said it was a big dog. So look at where he was found. How many times have we heard stories that Bigfoot can run into the bush and the brush, and there's just something about the way it's dynamically built. Maybe the oils in the skin that they just repel, thorns and things like that. They can run in there, and he's found in a briar patch. Think about it. It makes total sense. Not a scratch. Of course, Bigfoot's not going to scratch. He's designed for that kind of territory. So to me, that just makes sense. And then, you had a story prior to that 100 years earlier. The same kind of thing happened with another little boy, and he was only gone, I think, 2 days. But I mean, it's just these reports, they're nothing new. There's one in Michigan about a girl about 100 years ago that was taken off her farm. And she said she was taken off by a big dog. And it fed her berries and it ate her hat. I mean, but these stories are nothing new. So the reason why I like saying that is because, if they were Nephilim or these evil beings or they were just here to destroy everything, they'd be killing people left and right. And it'd be very hard. Think about this. If you had an organization, or if you had like a group of dogmen, just say a pack, all right? And they woke up one morning and decided they were going to do as much damage and havoc as they wanted to, they could literally erase a town in one night. What's going to stop them?
Absolutely.
I mean, they could destroy it. I'm trying to think about it. They could wipe a town out at night, maybe more. And, it wouldn't be anything for them to do that. But, they obviously don't. And I think the ones that want to are taken care of. I think there's some kind, like I said, I go back to the government agency on this kind of stuff. I think they watch them. I think they've got a satellite on them. I think they're probably got a tag on them, and they keep an eye on them. And I think that's how all this happens. But I think it's all done, for safety reasons. But none of this stuff is new. I mean, all these stories are old. None of them, it's just not that, there's nothing new under the sun, to quote Sherlock Holmes. It's all repeating itself. And I think the reason why it does that is because, these creatures, or whatever you want to call them, they get curious every once in a while.
We got about 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Christian McLeod filling in for Lon Strickler. Strange days tonight. Christian, what is the curiosity that a creature like Bigfoot has? I've talked about this on the show, but they almost seem like house cats. They just can't help their curiosity.
Well, think about it. We've got to be entertainment for them. I mean, look at the pink hairless ape running around, shooting stuff, building stuff. We've got to be entertainment for them, because we're exactly the antithesis. Look what we need and look what they need for survival. They pretty much can just be nomadic, living off the land, and they'll be fine. They don't need anything. We need shelter, food, clothing, water, all this stuff. We can't go out there and find it ourselves. We need it brought to us. So, I mean, it must be kind of funny to them, to watch us, or to watch, like, our technology is probably funny to them. The fact, we need cars and transportation like that probably makes them laugh. I think we're just an ongoing comedy show for them. And then sometimes, I think, you get one or two, they get pissed off, or they, they get hungry, and then, you have your missing 411 stuff happen.
It's kind of weird how that works. Christian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. We're already halfway through the show. Hard to believe that it's happened so quickly. Christian McLeod filling in for Lon Strickler's from phantomsandmonsters.com. Christian's website is American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. You can report all of your stories, all of your encounters right there at ACAPS. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, brother, we're clear.
Awesome.
We are clear. I had a good weekend.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it, man. You got some good evidence.
Yeah, man. I cannot wait to get back there on Sunday. Chaz Mataz, how you doing? If you're exhausted, Chaz Mataz, just lay down, relax, keep the show on, and we'll put you to sleep, my friend, in a good way. Yeah, let's take. I rushed through those. Let's take a look here at those trail cam photos for you guys again. Let's go. Where are we here? Let's start here. This one's one of my favorites. There's the links.
That is such a good picture.
That one turned out well.
It was like perfectly centered almost.
Yeah. There's a little rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell? Where'd it go? The hell is that?
Stewart.
Okay, went the wrong way. There's the lynx. There's the rabbit. There's the bear. That was a nice bear.
That bear's skinny too.
Oh no, he's a fatty.
Is he?
Yeah, he was a fatty.
Looks skinny.
There's the rabbit. That's me trying to point out something. There's the coyote. That's a beautiful photo.
That's a cool picture too.
Yeah. And there's a deer walking on by. Now, what we did was I put that trail cam there because we were it's facing a big tree. Okay. And in that big tree, we put a club there. We leaned a big, like, broken tree branch that's probably
for wood knocks.
Yeah. So we put it there just to see if how it would work out. It hasn't moved yet. But you never know.
Hey man, you never know. That's the one thing, you never know.
You never know. Quinn Hamlin, how you doing? Yeah. Let's see if I can do this. Where is it here? Where are they? See if I can quickly download the video here. Oh, that's the wrong trail cam right there. 47 or 48 is a. Here's let's see if we can. I won't have enough time. I will not have enough time to do that. That's okay. I've got it all on video. Like, there's actually videos of those. Christian, do you want to join us for hour 3 too, or are you going to head off to bed?
I got a doctor's appointment at 8:00.
Okay.
So it's
let's talk in the next day or two, because I have something interesting I want to talk to you about.
cool. Yeah. And I want to talk about that other stuff too, because that's hilarious. Our
Okay.
mutual acquaintance has lost it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious.
We're past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thanks for tuning us on in. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you joining us wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Filling in for Lon Strickler on Strange Days tonight from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, Christian McLeod is here. Christian, I want to talk about, the sounds that these creatures can make. Because the last couple times we have been out at our area, off in the distance, we will hear ravens. And that's nothing out of the ordinary, hearing the ravens. But the one thing that we are starting to hear, and I picked it up a week ago, and Kevin, one of my teammates, picked it up. He's a pretty big outdoorsman. Okay. He picked it up too. That it seemed that underneath the ravens squawking, there was something else being said. What do you know about Sasquatch or other cryptids kind of talking and or mimicking the sounds of forest animals?
Well, I can speak from experience. Where Christine and I live right now, we'll have songbirds at 4:00 in the morning, but they don't sound like songbirds, and they're coming from the mountain. You can hear them, but they're so loud. It's like this bird must be Rodan. So I think you can tell a lot by what Bigfoot does as far as communicating by the volume it uses, because I think they have, I've always been under the impression their vocal cords are much different than us. They use infrasound. I'm a firm believer they use infrasound. Excuse me. So when they do that, I think they can layer their vocals. I think that's exactly what they're doing. It would not surprise me to find out that you might be hearing the raven, but at a lower tone, there's probably some kind of communication going on. It would not surprise me in the slightest bit. Not at all. I have point blank heard dogmen bark at each other or growl at each other, yip at each other. I've heard it. I felt it, and I think they've got that infrasound ability too. It's just not really discussed a whole lot, but it's communication wise. I mean, they've got their own language. They've got their own way of communicating. I think some of it we're not able to hear it. I think it's below that 15 hertz. We can't hear it. I think it's in the infrasound range. I did a TV show with the Discovery Channel once, and I don't know if it ever got aired here, but we had picked up, where was that? Well, we were in Linville Gorge, and it had been a hot spot that year, and there's a bunch of people, and we were in this area. We found footprints, hair, just everything you can imagine. It was all right there. And the guy in the digital auto recorder was telling me he was getting some weird background sound, but it was in the 15 decibel range. And I said, well, that's infrasound. And he goes, yeah. And I said, yeah, that's probably Bigfoot. So we've had that record. I mean, it's just, I think they have the ability to communicate, but we don't necessarily hear it. Or maybe they've got it layered in with something else, or maybe that raven call that you hear means something else to them.
Well, here's something that I heard, and I wouldn't recognize it if I wasn't, I wouldn't recognize it if I wasn't familiar with Ronald Moorhead's Sierra sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that type sound.
The samurai chatter.
The samurai chatter. It sounded not the deeper voice, but the the more higher pitched voice.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what it was sounding like behind the ravens.
Well, like I said, they probably got the ability to layer stuff. When there was that autopsy report that came out years ago, it was whether or not it was ever proven true or false. They had the autopsy of a Bigfoot, and said it had 3 sets of vocal cords. So whether or not that's true, I don't know. But I mean, if they did, that's something they could possibly have no problem doing. Maybe layering their language and covering with something else. I mean, that sounds like something. If you have 3 sets of vocal cords, I mean, what couldn't you do? So who knows? It's one of those things I just don't know. I know they communicate. I know they know what they're saying to each other. They've got that intelligence, but how it's being conferred from one to another, whether it's infrasound, Mongolian throat singing, whether it's infrasound or just communication at a level we can't understand because we can't hear it, it's probably what it is.
It was just weird. What kind of communication do they do?
I think they've got verbal. I think they use their hand. I think, you talk to some of these people, especially in the Native American folklore, they say they speak a lot with their hands. They have like their own sign language, they have their verbal language. I think they can communicate with infrasound. I think their body language is a big thing. I think they've got a myriad of different ways of communicating. And I think it goes for Dogman too. I think they've got, I think they both have a structure. There's a hierarchy. I think they both follow, and when I say both, I mean both Big Man and Dogman, or Bigfoot and Dogman. I think they follow like a family hierarchy. I think there's a pack mentality with both, if you will. And I think that's how they teach their young. I think that, I think they have a family structure and they go from that. But I also think they've got, a language and a history that they continue to teach to their young. So that would definitely mean they have a civilization. But what their version of civilization is and our version is probably a little different because, again, we need houses, we need this, we need that. They just need to be in the woods, So I think that's where the difference really lies is, what their hierarchy of needs is and what ours is are 2 different things.
Robin and others have stated that the mimicking they can do of all different sorts of voices, whether it's birds, whether it's wolves, whether it's anything, really seems to be something that they use in order to communicate. Why would they have to conceal by using other animals, do you think?
Well, maybe they're hunting, and they, other animals can't hear the cycles and they hear. Or maybe they're just, they've been dealing with humans for, last 10,000 years. And, you start making weird noises. Maybe someone's going to come investigate and you don't want them around. I mean, the truth is, Dave, I could sit here and come up with a million different reasons. I just don't know. I'm sure someone, on a government payroll knows because they've been getting, all these research for so many years and they've got all this information we don't have. But I just think it's just a way they communicate naturally. I mean, I think, if you're hunting and you can imitate, a coyote to tell someone you're all right, why would you, do that massive, what would scare people more or what would scare things more in the woods? Hearing that massive scream that a Bigfoot can do or hearing like a coyote yowl or howl with a little different twist on it. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. I think they do it for convenience.
Well, I mean, hunting would make a lot of sense. I mean, let's face it. We as humans have not done a good job in being friendly to the animals out there for the last.
No, they're terrible. Oh my God. Think about this. You know what's sad? In the last 100 years, we've actually gotten better at the way we treat animals. Prior to that, we just shot everything. There was no ifs, we just shot everything. In the last 100 years, the hunting and stuff has gone down a little bit. And maybe we don't blast everything before we don't kill it first, but look at the mindset. Everything's changed in the last 100 years. So, maybe they'll be a little more perceptive to us in the next 100. But I don't know. But you're 100% right. I mean, can you imagine if animals could talk, what they'd say to us?
Yeah. They'd be like, you guys are a bunch of idiots.
You guys suck.
Yeah, I mean, just stay out of our area. It just works.
And it's the other thing. They're 100% right. All we did, I know how many times I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's one of the reasons, like when we start talking about aliens, and one of the reasons why I don't think we have contact, or they want to postpone contact, is what the heck do we have to offer the galaxy? As a species, we can't even get along on our own planet. There's parts of this world. Think about this, Dave. There's parts on this planet that have not gotten along for 5,000 years. 5,000 years we can't get along. I'm part of the world, and part of the planet. And they expect us, we expect to be handed the keys to the kingdom and go, okay, go populate the galaxy, enjoy. Who would want that?
Well, I mean, we're all right.
No, we're not. We're horrible. Oh,
I mean,
they're cool. All right. I would
people-
totally give us lightsabers and starships. That's just me.
It's just the people who use the term Squatch that are horrible people.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, that's like, that's like your trailer trash version of cryptid hunters, I guess.
We got about 12 minutes to go before we got to wrap things up with Christian McLeod from American Cryptid Paranormal. I said it wrong. Yeah. American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.
Right.
ACAPS.
Hey, there was actually a cool comment over here written by at Joe. We're horrible compared to what? Pretty much compared to anything. I just felt like the need to say that.
Yeah.
Show me another species that wants to blow everything else up. Maybe.
Well, I mean, if you look at Pinky and the brain wanted to blow up the world.
But that's because the brain had been genetically engineered with human DNA.
Oh, darn it. You're right on that one.
Yeah, I know.
You're right on that one.
I love that. And let's face it, Pinky was just as evil a genius as him. All right. He just didn't know how to communicate.
Oh, true.
Fjord. That was my favorite one. Remember the Fjord one?
Let's get back to the monster talk here for a few more minutes with you. You take in a number of reports every month of paranormal, cryptid, UFO sightings, everything that kind of goes along with it. In your estimation, with everything that's going on in the cryptid paranormal world, do you think it's heating up a little bit more as people become more aware? People getting into it because the UFO stories and the UFO file releases, that makes them look into other things. Well, if UFOs are real, Bigfoot must be real. Ghosts must be real. Are you seeing a pickup in chatter?
That is such a good observant question, Dave, because the truth of the matter is no. And I honestly would think with all this stuff going on, all these documents being released, it would be more like, I'll give you an example. I do Haunted Asheville. I do the tours for Haunted Asheville. And I know our business is down, our tourism is down, but I thought there'd be an uptick in the paranormal interest since all this stuff had been released, and I'm not seeing it. I would love to, but I don't see it happening right away. I think what's going to happen is I think it takes time because people, once you start reading about UFOs, then the next logical step is just exactly what you said. Well, if these guys are real, then is Bigfoot real? And if Bigfoot's real, the paranormal's got to be real, because once you start getting into that, you realize that cryptids and the paranormal go hand in hand. In other words, if you're going to have a lot of cryptid reports in there, guess what's following it? You're going to have a lot of paranormal reports. It's just the way it is. I didn't write the rules. I'm just saying, in my experience in the last 29, 30 years, when you get a lot of cryptid activity, there's paranormal stuff right behind it.
Why do you think they're both magnets to each other?
I don't know. It's just like a yinging. I honestly wish I knew, because it's been, I used to just do cryptid stuff, And then, of course, I got into the paranormal because it was the next stage. I spent so many years realizing that every time we had cryptid reports, there's a paranormal part right behind it. So that's why we started doing, I mean, that's just honest truth. You can't have one without the other. And why that, I wish I knew, Dave. I really do, but I do not know. I think it just has something to do with the fact that they're automatically attracted to each other. They just connect for some reason. It's like, you get a lot of cryptid reports in graveyards. Why? They just hang out in graveyards. I mean, I don't know. Are they attracted to the dead? Is there an energy they pick up that we don't pick up? I just don't know. And I think that could have something to do with it too. I think that animals and cryptids can see paranormal stuff. But I've always been like that. Like you see how many times have you seen a dog act when there's a paranormal entity around? They're staring right at it. So I just think they key up on that, and I think the higher level, for lack of a better term, North American primates do the same thing. And Cenocephaly. I just think they have that ability.
That is very weird. Do you get a lot of reports of cryptids within cemeteries?
There was a streak about 5 years ago. We were getting 2 or 3 a month, and it was just in graveyards. It was in very old graveyards. It was like Revolutionary War graveyards, or graveyards that were original to the towns that were founded in like 1750 and things of that nature. And we were getting, and a lot of that was Dogman reports. And I still, we investigated, but we never found anything. But those reports were there; they were made, and that was people taking time out of their lives to make a phone call or email us. So something was obviously going on, but why? I don't know. The ones we get now, it's like cyclical. We get more right now. We get more UFO reports than anything
because that's what's popular.
Because that's what's popular right now. Yeah, and I think that's all that is. Because the UFO reports we get, I honestly think half the time they're the fire trucks with the big bright light in the front. I really do, because they might be coming down a mountain road or something like that, and they've got the lights and everything on, and when you see them from a distance, it looks like a UFO. I think a lot of that's from that, but it's because it's what's hot right now. It's what's written. It's in the news all the time. There's not a whole lot of Bigfoot reports going on right now. A lot of cryptid reports going on now. But when that happens, we get an uptick in that. It's just, I think it's right. It's what's the flavor of the month kind of thing. What's going on now. I think we're going to get a lot more UFO reports now that we've got all this new information, and then of course. I think we'll probably get a whole lot more reports of aliens being seen, not necessarily cryptids, but aliens, because now they're saying we know for a fact that there's 4 different types of aliens that are on the planet, blah, 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 blah. So I think we're going to be seeing, more of that. I think we'll be getting more reports of that. Not that they're necessarily seeing them, not that they're not, but, the pareidolia kicks in, and that's what's going to be put in their head. So, and again, that's just please send the reports because we love them. But, when we look into them, sometimes they just don't make any sense. Because it's like, you're sitting there, you're looking, you're reading this stuff, and then you pull it up on a map or you physically go there. I went to 4 graveyards one day that we had reports from a couple of years ago, and none of it made any sense. I mean, these things were in the middle of nowhere. And, there was just absolutely no evidence of anything in being in there. But I mean, it was one of the questions I had is, what were you doing out here at that time for you to see this? You said you were out here like 9, 10 o'clock at night. Well, that's 7 miles in, the woods, no lights, no street light. There's nothing out there. It's a graveyard that, the last person buried there was in 1780. And, it's been completely surrounded by, the woods have almost engulfed it. What were you doing up here? And it's just, reports like that, because sometimes people can't give you answers or they don't want to tell you, but it's questions like that keep me going. It's like, well, what's making this happen? Why are we having these reports constantly? But like I said, I believe you're 100% right. We're going to be getting more. You'll be getting more and more alien reports, and it'll be whatever 4 aliens they start doing, like all the talking about. I think we're going to do reptoids, the Icelandics, and there's an insectoid, and maybe another reptoid one with a tail. And one have tails, one doesn't. But anyway, those are the 4 they're going to talk about. So I'm sure we'll be getting, lizard man reports, things of that nature. I've never taken a Nordic report, so that'd be cool. But I think we'll just be seeing more and more. Though we get more and more reports of those because that's what's in the news. Can't hear you, Dave.
Yeah, sorry about that. The UFO subject is obviously, a big stage of the popularity of what we are doing right now. Do you think, for the most part, people who are picking up this subject know what they're looking for in the sky? Could they tell, the way Venus can shine, where it looks like it's a moving planet or a moving object, or the International Space Station, or even a fast moving satellite? Do you think they could tell the difference? I mean, look, we're almost 8 years into Starlink, 9 years into Starlink, and people are still claiming that those are UFOs that are flying. We get a lot of that, man.
But see, that's the problem is, I hate saying this, but it seems to be in the Appalachia area where, I get most of the reports like this, but it's usually from someone that'll admit they've been drinking a little bit. They look up and they see this stuff. They don't know what it is, so they automatically want to think it's a UFO. But when you get on that Starlink and you see where the satellites were launching and all this, and you correlate to that area, it's kind of easy to figure it out. But I think I'd probably say 90% of the reports that we get are not well managed as far as fact of there's no research done on them before they make them. And I think that's part of the fact that you've got all those satellites up there, you've got space station, shooting stars, things of that nature. But again, you're inundated with this stuff. I guarantee you, this summer's going to be interesting because we have that new Spielberg movie coming out that they're making a big deal about. I promise you, when that comes out, it's going to be the same thing. The UFO report's going to be skyrocketing. The alien reports will be skyrocketing because that's what's going to be on everyone's mind. So what that means is when you're researching or you're doing the deduction or you're being a consulting detective for the cryptid and paranormal world, that means you got to do more research and find out what's going on, and do some cross-referencing and see if there was anything in that particular area at that night, the anomalies, things of that nature. But what happens is when you get more press like this, you just get more junk reports, and that's what unfortunately happens. But we tend to get a lot of those.
You still have to go through them though, because
I have to go through every one of them, man. Like they're all, because people are taking the time out. If someone takes the time, you know what? Just because they made a mistake doesn't mean they're making something up. Maybe they saw something and then something else came in the line of sight. Maybe they did see a UFO, but something else came after it. Look at all the stuff that's getting released. All these massive. I don't know if you've seen any of those new videos that got released from the government, but those triangle ships, remember the one in Arizona? All that? I mean, they're right there. They're boom, here they are. Where's this coming from? You guys have been denying this for so long, and then all of a sudden now you're releasing this as UFO footage. So, you have whole cities seeing this stuff, and now you finally admitting that's true. So it's to me, it's fascinating because it's one of these things where it's like, when are they just going to tell us the truth? Just say it, man. Spill it. Tell us what's going on. We can handle it.
Tell everybody where they can find American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.
You guys can get us at American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com or simply cryptidguide.com. Real easy. And we'd love to hear from you. Hey, if you give me a second, Dave, I've got a good buddy of mine. He's more like a brother. His name's Joshua P. Warren. He's a little bit under the weather. So if we could just send some prayers and good vibes his way, I'd appreciate it. He's having some health issues that hopefully we're getting rectified. But I know he'd love to hear the fact that people are praying for him and wishing him good vibes, man. I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. The Cryptid Guy, Christian McLeod, thank you very much. Coming up in hour 3, we're going to Swamp Dweller, and Grant Baker will be here with the UFO Report.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thank you, Guy.
Anytime.
Right there, buddy. Right
That's it.
there.
The man.
That's it right there. All right, buddy. We'll give you a call. I'll call you this week, okay?
All right, man. God bless. Take care of yourself.
All right. Much love. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your spaced out radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108
is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil house by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, we get ready to bring in the Grantavious one, Grant Baker, hanging on out with us. There he is. We got just under a minute to go here. Big thank you to our super chatters tonight. Little Cam, Walter, T-Bone, Debaruni, KJM, and Mickey. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your mind, for joining our membership. We greatly appreciate that. Always good. Always good. Grant, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, my man.
Turn your volume up, man. Barely hear you.
Doing fantastic, brother. Can you hear me now?
That's much more beautiful.
Awesome.
Much more beautiful. We need to be able to hear those dulcet tones.
I gotcha.
Absolutely. We're coming back in like 8 seconds. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We have Swamp Dweller and Grant Baker with the UFO report coming up here momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Qualtog. Qualtog is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
So this isn't my story, but my best friend's. She told me about her uncle, that is her stepdad's brother, and how sketchy he was. There's always one questionable uncle in every family, isn't there? My friend said that a few years ago, whenever she would meet up with her step-uncle, he would always give her the creeps. He would say things like, "The wife and I are going to the trailer for a week, and you should come along. Oh, my wife is only going to be there for a couple of days, but you're welcome to stay as long as you like." Not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but the way he said it made her feel really uncomfortable. He would bring her presents all the time and find any excuse to be alone with her. She said that he would often come by her tattoo shop when there was no one else around, despite living an hour away. There was only one door to that shop, so she would often be stuck in there either until closing time or until step-uncle decided to leave. And when he hugged her, his hands would go too low, and his hug would last too long. I can't remember if I ever met this guy, but I was very familiar with my friend's stepdad, and I never cared for him either. So safe to say that it isn't a stretch to imagine this. What makes me angry is that my friend finally confessed to her stepdad and told him what had been going on and how it upset her. But the guy didn't even believe her. Nothing was done, because good old uncle was just trying to be nice, and my friend was, quote-unquote, overreacting. About 3 years ago, my friend's life became so much more difficult. Her mother suddenly passed away, which was very sad for everyone involved. With all the stress and grief involved, my friend was at her wit's end. Her mother's memorial service was held at a home, and the entire family came by to give their condolences. My friend was lost in all of it, not sure what to think. Of course, Uncle was there. Sometime during the service, he came up to her, gave him one of his 2 long hugs with the 2 low hands, and whispered in her ear, "I dream of you." My friend said she sat on the porch and couldn't function for hours. Super creepy, and really can't explain why this guy acts this way. Think he might be some sort of psychopath or sociopath or something. He just seems like he has this evil presence.
Weird one tonight from Swamp Dweller. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube. Type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, as he is here 5 days a week to kick off hour number 3. Make sure you go subscribe to him on YouTube. It's time for Grant.
Staring at the stars tonight. There goes shining in the sky. Grant's got the stories breaking through. What's hidden now comes into view. From distant light to secret files, mystery threats. Truth revealed. Every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your backs. Please don't becomes a song.
You know, Grant, one of the big things that I am enjoying about these UFO drops is I never knew what the word tranche was.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm right in the same boat. And said, as soon as I read it, I was like, what in the world does that mean?
Yeah, I never knew what tranche meant. TRANCHE, tranche. Apparently, it's like just a drop of files. That's what it is. Tranche. And I like learning new words like that, man, because it just sounds so professional. We have a second tranche coming down the pike here. You know, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. But, you know, we're a few days after the second tranche of files being released, 222 files, including 46 videos, a bunch of new photos. Just your thoughts on this latest dump.
Oh, here we go. You just had to ask me. And I'm kind of on the fence with it again, just like we had talked last week. What if it's going to be a whole bunch of dot watching? And that's exactly what it is for the most part. There are a few things in there, especially some of the audio files and PDFs. Out of the 51 videos that they sent, there is a few that I've looked at that were really interesting to watch, especially one that was going unrealistically fast. And it's, to me, they're still gearing up. I don't think this is all that we're going to see from them. But, you know, for anybody that's going to look at these, they were released May 22nd, which was on Friday. Out of the 64, there's 51 videos, 6 PDFs, 7 audio files, totaling 5.6 gigs of raw data. And people are already just pouring themselves over it. And I have yet to get through even a scratch of the surface on it, but I'm getting there.
I think we're all kind of getting there because we're looking for any sort of smoking gun evidence.
Correct.
And that is what's making it very, very tough right now is, you know, it's a lot of reports. The videos, once again, we're looking at Pong. Okay. The old video game Pong that got it all started, just a little dot going screen to screen, side to side. You know, the other thing too that I noticed was that they're not filming the good stuff. We're not getting the good stuff right off the bat. Okay. Example. There is one video, if you go look at the tranche, which you could go look at by going to war.gov/UFO. war.gov/UFO. And one of the videos that was released, if you remember a few years ago, all of those hot air balloons that were allegedly from China, the spy balloons.
Yep.
Well, they call this one a UAP. And once again, I'm going to reiterate to people, this proves that UAP are man-made objects and not alien craft, because they show the F-16 from the video footage of the F-16 shooting a missile and blowing up the balloon. Now, they're trying to pass this off as unidentified anomalous phenomena. It's not. We know it's a balloon. It was reported on in the news. And so I kind of look at this latest dump as maybe, just maybe, the rumors are true, and they're trying to throw some red herrings in there in order for us, Grant, to try and say get us off the track, get us off the beaten trail of UFOs for a little bit.
I believe that's exactly what they're doing wholeheartedly. They are not only giving us the low-hanging fruit, as we've said before, but they are throwing in, as you eloquently put it, the red herring. And it is to throw us off the track. They don't want to give us everything. We're not going to see alien bodies. We're not going to see the spacecraft wreckage. We're just not going to see those yet. And in fact, I think that's kind of a long ways out. What we are seeing right now, the balloons, I mean, we have people that had high-powered cameras that took photographs and actual video of that balloon being shot down. We got very clear footage of it, so we know exactly what it is. Some of the other stuff that's on here, though, is interesting, to say the least. And like we put it before, most of these aren't even here. We're looking at Russia. We're looking at Syria. We're, the one that is here is the Lake Huron, the 2023 kinetic intercept footage. And that is a declassified heads-up display, or HUD, as people want to call it, and sensor tracking data from a U.S. fighter jet. And that was an object over Lake Huron. And they're still doing a lot of other countries as of right now. But there are some where there's, in 2025, there was the military helicopter swarm account, and that was over a military base here in the U.S. And we're getting a little better, or they're getting a little better at giving us some kind of information. Everything that we're getting, I will say, is still, we're all just kind of twiddling our thumbs, watching the dots fly across the screen, or watching them watch cities in certain videos, and they're just kind of looking around, and then all of a sudden they catch a black dot flying by, and they follow it as long as they can, and then they go back to watching the city. It's like, okay, what was that? You're not giving us really any information. They're not diving deep. There's no context in most of this. And it is what it is, but it is still a step in the right direction, even though it is frustrating to a lot of us that are in the field, especially when we're waiting for something. I mean, you got a lot of skeptics that are out there, and they're already calling this more dot watching fatigue, because there isn't a really crisp photo of an alien face, and that's what we're all waiting for.
That's exactly what we are waiting for. That's exactly what we want to see happen. Okay. And I agree with you. I'm excited that these videos are coming out. I'm excited the paperwork is coming out. The transcripts from NASA continue to come out. This is all good. This is all positive. It's easy to pick on videos like the weather balloon or the spy balloon, whatever it was, being shot down. But I think it's confusing for the public when we see videos like this one, or videos of other types of balloons floating in the sky claiming that they are UAP. I think it's something that we need to be suspect of. And we have to remember that we are dealing with formerly top secret types of information here. But what we aren't dealing with right now is we aren't dealing with what is actually truly happening. What's your thoughts?
I believe that as well. And when it comes to people that are not in this field and are starting to get a glimpse of it, especially when you have the House of Representatives doing their jobs constantly in media's view, whether it be social media or however you guys get your news, and they're starting to pick up on it. And then when they go to this, war site from the U.S. government, and they're looking at what they think, okay, well, they say UFOs are real. Let's look at this. And it's confusing to them. You're not giving them the whole, hey, this is what the narrative's about. This is how long it's been going on. They're not saying that this is 80 years plus of us catching this stuff. And it's really, they're not putting their best foot forward when it comes to this. And I don't think they want everybody to know about it. There's a lot of heavy hitters that are out there right now that are trying to push the narrative. There's a lot of us that are still waiting for that just razor edge crisp news that just hits the wire saying, hey, we have this. And we're all waiting. And it does an injustice to the civilians that are out there and the people that are out there that are just now getting involved in this or finding out about it for the first time. And they're like, well, what is this? This means nothing to me. It's just dots in the sky. I see things move all the time. It could be a satellite, it could be a balloon, it could be whatever. And but that's not what it really is. The phenomenon is global and we all know it. Our militaries know it. Firsthand experiencers know it. And it's only getting bigger though. And for every person that it's hitting right now, even if they are confused, I believe if they do have some kind of inkling that something is going on, then they're going to also start watching the breadcrumbs that they're dropping for us. And that is a good thing, like you said.
I think it's a very good thing. I'm just curious because, after the first drop, we heard that the second one was coming very, very quickly. And after this second drop, it's been very, very quiet on where there might be, or if there might be a third drop coming, even though they said they are going to be funneling information regarding the UFO drops continuing here over the next number of months, if not longer. My question to you is, have you heard anything yet about another drop?
Not another drop specifically. What we're hearing in the news, or not even in the news, but in the back channels that we entertain, there are other types of conversations going on, which we'll talk about shortly, that have more of a presence, that they're gearing up for something. And that drop is not, they're not coming out saying, hey, on media or any public sources like CNN or anything going, hey, we're going to be dropping another tranche. But what we are seeing is warnings and them talking to people. And that's kind of a clue for us to keep watching of what they're doing, because their actions right now are speaking louder than words. So I think there's going to be another drop. When it's going to happen or where it's going to happen might not be on the UFO or war.gov/UFO. It's probably going to be something a little bit more broader.
What do you mean by broader? That sounds mysterious.
That's the gist that we're looking at, is when we start hearing them having conversations with certain people and higher up figures are starting to talk about it, but they're not mentioning the website anymore. You kind of get a feeling or a sense that something big's going to happen, or bigger is going to happen to what we've witnessed with these two last drops, that it might go a little further than just dropping files on a website. We might actually have, maybe, and this is a big maybe, a presidential speech or something more public, which is what I'm hoping for. And I could be completely wrong about this. This is only my own opinion. But there's others that have the same opinion, and I'm kind of geared to see and keep watching if this actually happens. And if it doesn't, I'll report on that as well.
That's why you're the best. We have 5.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Grant Baker is here for the UFO report. And, one of the big things that people are wondering about, never mind just the UFOs, but are we going to get any sort of qualification for aliens or ET contact? There was a little bit of talk last week about the 4 different species that allegedly have crashed here on Earth: the Greys, the Nordics, the reptilians, and the mantid beings. That would claim that we have bodies of these creatures wherever they are, or whatever they are, and wherever they come from. Just your thoughts on the fact that people are wondering, what are these alien species about?
So that's something I've also been watching as well in the last week. We've had plenty of different people in different stations say exactly what you just said. We have these 4 different species, and I think there's actually more than that. I believe these are the 4 that they're going to start with, and I believe that they're going to go ahead and stair step us, so to speak, on what we see. So, excuse me. Obviously, we're going to see somebody or another sentient being or species of people that are more attuned and look like us physically. That way it's not as scary, because if they just bring out a mantis or something, or somebody from the lizard world, that's going to scare the daylights out of most people. And so I believe that just like what we're waiting for is going to be, hey, look, we come from Alpha Centauri or Zeta Reticuli, and we're the tall whites, and this is what we look like. They just happen to look human. They're very akin to us, and they might be a little bit taller, fair skin, pretty people. And it's easy for people to say, oh, wow, you guys are from somewhere else. That's really neat, especially when we can relate to them. Because when it comes to like anthropomorphizing what we do as humans onto a different species, there's going to be a lot more out there that are nothing like us in any way, shape, or form. And I believe that they're going to start small. And if they do get to the mantis, like bug-like people, it'll be a while off, because not a lot of people like bugs.
No. And you know what? I'm one of them.
Yeah, me too.
At least it's not sharks. At least there's no shark aliens that are coming down right now, because then I would be an absolute dead man.
Sharknado.
Yeah, don't need any Sharknadoes happening or anything like that. But you bring up a good point, though. I think that the government wants to be careful right now. I really do believe they want to be careful in scaring people. And that's why I think we've gone back a little bit to the nuts and bolts aspect of trying to find what these dots are, and I think that's probably where we're sitting right now, because as people start to realize that these files are being released, Grant, we're not talking about aliens just yet.
Not yet.
Okay, this is just the warm up. I remember when 2017 happened, and we were talking about the To the Stars Academy and the three videos, the Go Fast, the Gimbal, and the Tic Tac. And I remember talking to insiders about that and saying, "Where's the aliens, man?" Well, we can't do that right now. Aliens are still a number of years away. This is a litmus test type. Do you see us back in that litmus test, or do you think that because right before these tranches happened, we were starting to get into a little bit more of alien talk and alien species?
Correct. We've been getting into those talks very quickly, and they're trying to slow it down. We're trying to full throttle where they're trying to pump the brakes, because you just can't go out and be like, oh, hey, just like the video of Trump walking with the alien in chains. It's cool to watch that kind of stuff, and it is AI, but if you really had a video of that happening, the world would just go crazy. And then everybody's going to talk in a crowded room, and the person that's trying to speak isn't going to be able to be heard. So they're trying to pump the brakes, get everybody used to it, just like these videos, just like the movies that are coming out. They've been doing it for years, whether it be The Abyss, or I don't care what you believe in or what movies you watch. They're just going to slowly roll this out and be like, okay, let's get used to it. I'm sure our kids will be fine with it, though.
I'm sure the kids will be fine with it when that happens as well. When we return, Grant, from the break here at the bottom of the hour, there is a rumor going around that once again, the story about religious leaders being talked to about aliens and UFOs is back on the hot topic button again. And this time it might lead to the White House. This is where things are going to get very interesting. What do you all think about that? Should we be discussing this topic with religious leaders who have said for decades anything from the sky is demonic?
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy.
All right, bud. It was fun.
So far, so good.
Oh, the next one's going to be great.
Got about 5 minutes here.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. Yeah, this next one, I actually broke this one down a little bit for us, so it's interesting. Very, very interesting. Excuse me a second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh, I hate it when I do that. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining SOR tonight. If you want cool swag, which I'm not wearing this evening, unfortunately, go to spacedoutradio.com/shop because we don't have ugly swag, people.
No ugly swag, man. No ugly swag.
I got to start ordering more, actually. My shirts are getting a little threadbare.
Yeah. I had a couple of shirt ideas. I'm going to go through our stuff again here very, very soon. Might have to add a new skiff this.
Skiff this. I like that. Yeah, the mantis type aliens. Ugh. I don't know, man. Like, you ever seen a Jerusalem? Some people call them potato bugs, Jerusalem bugs. You know, they're like huge crickets. Ugh. I seen one of them thing walking down the sidewalk the other day, and I just walked the other way. You can have it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, they're huge. I don't like looking at them. I finally when I moved to Florida, I came across a katydid once, and they flicked their back legs so hard, and he was on my single pane glass in my bedroom. And it was just this whap. I mean, it was loud. I was like, what the heck is that? And finally I found this thing, and it was every bit of, I mean, just the size of like a flattened orange. And I was like, holy mackerel. And then it opens it up, and there's this huge hole in its abdomen, and just crazy looking bug. And so I went and got a kitchen mitt, for the oven, one of those big, thick rubber ones. And that's what I grabbed it with. And it was kicking the crap out of me. And I finally tossed him outside, but it was huge. I was like, Jiminy crickets. No, I'm good. I don't do bugs. Anything with more than 4 legs, I'm not a fan of it.
We get some pretty wicked bugs up here. It's funny, like when I moved up here from the lower mainland, you get the odd big moth.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But up here, you get these weird looking bugs, like these beetles that have like 2-inch long antennas, and they're my favorite.
We have these wood beetles that have, I don't know what they're called, but I call them wood beetles here in Oregon. And they have those really long antenna. And they'll fly and they'll land on you and they bite. Well, one day there was one on top of my car, and I was kind of, messing with him, and he started screaming at me. Beep, 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 beep. That's what it sounded like. I was like, what the, dude, these things yell. And it was mad. It was coming after, like walking after me, just yelling at me. I was like, oh, geez.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, Deb. Oh, that would be a good shirt. It says Deborah Rooney, the Sacramento treat.
I was just reading that.
I would rock that, actually. I would rock that.
We got about a minute to go.
All right. Oh, man. I ran out of Topo Chico. Some good water. Does our swag ship to the UK?
I believe it does.
Yeah. Blackthorn says swag doesn't ship to the UK unless it changed recently.
I don't know. Blackthorn, how you doing? I'll find out about that. Thank you tonight to our super chatters, Mickey, Walter, KJM, Little Cam, Deborah Rudy, and T-Bone, my man. Thank you for the love. Thank you for your mind, for rejoining our membership on TubeYube. We got 8 seconds. We are into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Grant Baker is here with the UFO report. We're going to get right into it right now. Grant, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, my man. Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Tell us the latest news about UFOs and religious leaders.
Oh, this is a good one. And this actually comes from Ross Coulthart. For anybody that doesn't know, he's a journalist, primarily out of Australia, I believe. And he started talking about the briefings and something he called ontological shock. So the White House isn't just briefing the Pentagon or the Gang of Eight anymore. They're calling in the clergy, so to speak. And now I'm kind of asking, why are they preparing for a crisis of faith? So we're going to define something real quick for anybody that doesn't know what ontological shock actually means. So if you understand, this isn't just like the fear of a movie monster or anything like that. So it's an absolute destruction of a person's baseline worldview. It's the realization that our history or our origin and our place in the cosmic hierarchy are radically different than what we were taught in school. So why religious leaders are they talking? Is the U.S. government talking to religious leaders? And this is kind of something that goes historical. And the Collins elite, which is a faction within the Pentagon, allegedly viewed the phenomenon through a literal demonic and spiritual lens. And they're bringing in religious scholars and pastors now that the administration is trying to preemptively manage a massive cultural collapse. That is huge. And this is one of the things I was just talking about a little bit ago. Like, these are the conversations that I've been watching. They might not be doing more drops on the website, but things like this, these are the things that make you go, because if the world finds out we share this planet with a non-human intelligence, or NHI, which we call it, the immediate question is, how does this align with scripture or creationism and the soul? And that's where they're going with this. And so let's talk about NHI with faith and a little bit here. You can discuss how different theological frameworks adapt, okay? Some scholars are already leaning into the idea that NHI, non-human intelligence, fits into the unseen realm of ancient historical texts, which we've had for millennia. And while institutional religions face a severe risk of dogmatic fracture. Well, I don't really see that as the case, but I got to remind you guys, this echoes from like the 1960 Brookings report commissioned by NASA, which explicitly warned that the discovery of NHI, or intelligent alien life, could cause societies to collapse, specifically targeting like religious stability in the scientific community. But I don't see that as happening. And it's really interesting that they're going to these pastors and anybody that has a congregation and warning them to say, hey, prepare your congregation for this imminent huge release of information, or subtly and even baseline that we're not alone. These are the things that I'm watching saying, okay, if they're not doing any drops here, what are they going to drop that's going to make the religious sector or anybody that's faith-based in their lives have this this shock happen to them? Like, oh my gosh, my whole paradigm's crashed. That's where my questions lie. And we can even talk about the controlled release versus, the betrayal of trust, because that's kind of where we're at with this. Because if it doesn't happen, then why were you even talking to them in the first place? And when I go to that is because the White House has always been trying to manage the narrative with a slow drip release of files. I've been talking about that for ages. It's what we call a soft disclosure for anybody that wants to know. And it's just, this is huge when you start talking to these type of people, especially when it comes to the clergy or even the Pope. I've heard that they were talking to him as well, and he was on board with it. So if we do the controlled release, which in certain cases might be an illusion, Coulthart is pointing out a massive flaw in the current strategy. The administration's recent push for what we call a controlled release of UAP files are only handing the public a fraction of the truth, which is what we were just talking about. They're only giving us the bare
Now,
minimum.
Grant, the original talk between the clergy members and alleged intelligence officials happened apparently in late February. Is Ross Coulthart saying there's been a second one now?
As far as I can see, I think that is exactly what's going on. There was a second conversation. The first conversation, if we go back and remember correctly, there was a few people that went on social media and had these discussions on whatever platform they went on. And then they started dialing it back. Well, you know, they were just kind of saying, hey, what if? And it's not a what if. This is something that if they drop another 40 anomalous videos, you know, it's not to a bare room. It's going to be, how did Ross Coulthart put it? It's a bear in the room, or ignoring instead of elephant in the room, he said, ignore the bear in the room. It's something that I think this guy's great. You know, he's a great journalist, does very good with his research. And I like the guy. I mean, there's been a couple things here and there, just like anybody else. But when it comes to this, I believe this is a second hint that they've had further conversations than the one in January.
It's going to be interesting if any more of these alleged Christian leaders or religious leaders come out and talk about this. The only one who's really come out publicly loudly was a few weeks ago, a gentleman named Perry Stone.
Yep.
Who came out saying that it happened. But I mean, here's what we don't see with these talks. You would think, for instance, that if by chance these conversations were happening, who's talking about this with the Catholic Church? Because in order to do that, I believe, and I'm not Catholic, so I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, but I believe something like that would have to go through the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the Pope being American, that might be something that is looked at.
That is a good point. I actually have never picked up on that. I did fail to recognize that he is an American. In fact, now that you bring it up, I did watch the interview with his brother, who spoke about him fairly lovingly. And do they bring the Pope in? Have they brought him in? I mean, I know that in the past they've talked to him and asked, hey, what would happen if we find non-human intelligent, or for reverse engineering spacecraft or anything? And they were fine with it. You know, the previous Pope was absolutely fine with it. And I'd be very interested to see what happens, especially when it comes to the Vatican and their stance on the subject. It'd be a very enlightening conversation. I believe so.
It totally would be, you know, but once again, I think though that it goes beyond some televangelists and other sources of, you know, the local church at the corner of your street. You know what I'm saying? I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. Okay. I think they're not going for that. They have to bring in, you know, the big religious leaders, like, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're Muslim, whether you're Catholic, whether you are Christian, Protestant, you know, whether you are a Mormon or Jehovah's Witness or whoever. You would think that they would bring in the top people of those religions to have a conversation and not just a bunch of televangelists. I have a tough time, and I like this story. I think it's trending in the right direction, but I don't know how much truth there is really to it, Grant.
That's a good question. when it comes to this, it could be smoke and mirrors. Honestly, it really could be. We do have to take everything that we hear, especially in the current state of the media, with a grain of salt. Take away what you want of it and keep it, but don't hinge or put all your eggs in one basket. Don't hinge your whole paradigm just on one conversation. You got to look at it as, you know, what lies heavier on your mind, so to speak. You know, the existence of non-human intelligence, or the realization that our government has run a complete shadow reality this whole time. And when it comes to your faith, whoever it may be, or whatever you believe in, I don't believe that it's going to shock the world all that much. I don't think that anybody that is in these religious sectors really think that, oh, we're the only ones. I just can't see that as something that's going to give them that great awakening or fear. It might just be fear mongering. It could be one or the other. I'm on the fence with it. It could be smoke and mirrors. It could be real. And, I'm just waiting to see what happens.
We know the Catholic Church already has a policy in place for UFOs and ET contact and or arrival. We haven't heard any of the other religions come out and say that, at least that I have heard of. It would be interesting to see what some of the archdioceses around, have to say.
That would be a good one. I mean, if you look back in 1933, there was the Milan crash in the Vatican back channel. I don't know do you remember that?
I do not.
So there was, according to intelligent lore, Pope Pius VII found out about the retrieved crash craft, whatever, through the Catholic Church's massive intelligence network. And he realized there's a danger of it staying in, I hate this word, but fascist hands. And the Pope allegedly back-channeled this information directly to the U.S. government after World War II. And the U.S. military went in, recovered the craft, and brought it back to the States. And now, if that story is true, the Vatican was the original whistleblower. So I think the Catholics already know. When it comes to any other religious sector, I mean, they're probably going to figure it out real quick.
And finally tonight, one of the topics that I think we need to talk about, because people in the UFO community are not letting this go, is American astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson continues to take a ton of heat over the idea that he has a new book coming out about what if we did make alien contact. This is a man who has foregone the science of all of this, arguing publicly and privately with fellow astrophysicists like Avi Loeb from Harvard that we could be being visited as we speak by ETs. Basically, he has thrown out tweets and been on Fox News and all other sorts of media outlets, basically saying, pulling a Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Show me the money. When the files are released, now all of a sudden, he's right into it. He thinks that, this is something real that's going on. I mean, a lot of people are calling him a hypocrite. A lot of people are calling him dirty for trying to pawn a book off as soon as the release comes out. And it makes people wonder whether or not he was tipped off to this, because it's just incredible. The man who doesn't believe in UFOs, doesn't believe in aliens, doesn't believe that anything from another planet or life form has been here, has a book ready to go within days of the first drop. What is your thoughts on all of this, Grant? Because deGrasse Tyson has taken a ton of heat.
He's a very polarizing figure, and especially when it comes to our, group of people and anybody we're billion strong now. And it's very interesting to watch what he's doing. So I actually went a little bit more personal with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he does admit his topic changed. And he says it's no longer a fringe topic for him. And what's really funny is once he saw the Pentagon file dumps, it actually forced him, and this was a quote by him, that it forced him to step into the ring. And I think it's a little funny because he still rejects eyewitness testimony. And even though he's huge and says, bring out the alien, he was in a recent interview and he essentially challenged the government to stop teasing the public. Do I like the guy? There are certain things that I do when it comes to, certain shows that he's done or been on, especially when he had, one of the Mythbusters guys on there and showed him, whatever that, I forgot what it's called now, that little stuff that's lighter than air. Anyways, scientifically, he does a good job. He's not as cool as Bill Nye the Science Guy to me, but when it comes to UFOs, UAPs, alien life, where we come from, things like that nature, then he just spirals off topic. And I've always disliked that about him. He didn't have enough of an open mind for me to really gravitate towards listening to him. Excuse me. He's always had his blinders on. And to this day, while he claims the book takes or it claims at face value without being condescending, he still refuses to accept that human eyes or military radar are absolute scientific proof. In his eyes, a court of law accepts testimony, but the court of science requires physical data. These are his quotes, meaning he wants a piece of recovered hardware, biological, entities for sampling. And then he says he'll believe. Now, I'm married to a scientist. I understand that part of them. When they latch on to something, it is tenacious. And if you don't have a control and an actual experimentation that they can have, here's our experiment, here's our control. Once you can give them those, then they're on board. If you can't, then everything is just like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I really, hate is a strong word. I just really dislike that.
Well, let's read some of the comments, because on May 19th on X, deGrasse actually posted, or Neil deGrasse Tyson actually posted, it says, in case you missed this, he posted a New York Times article, op-ed, about the top secret files that were released. So here's some of the comments that were left under this. From Good Morning UFO. Were you always into aliens and the CIA just hired you to lie about it for 25 years? Samsonite Mad. Nobody listens to you anymore. You're a fool. Sad. We all thought you were going to be the good science guy. You effed it up. Gary, you finally admit you were wrong, but cashing in on it is a disgrace.
Agreed.
Painkiller. You always treated this topic with arrogance and a sarcastic grin on your face. What changed? Will de Seneca. You're a fake. You denied the UFOs for years. So what happened? Did your handlers at the CIA give you new talking points? And we'll read a couple more here because this is very, very interesting. Dino, you do realize that the main crux of the phenomena has no time for people like you. You brandished this audience as idiots. You talked over them with arrogance. See Joe Rogan Experience compilation of interruptions, and chortled incessantly at the idea of something interdimensional going on as hogwash. You are the most disingenuous astrophysicist I think I have ever heard of, and I'd be very interested in hearing how suddenly you had this astonishing revelation on the subject, whereas before you laughed in its face proudly. So what are the alphabet people paying you? Like that, this is just great. Goes on to say, why are you suddenly into the UFO bandwagon? You've been very dismissive in the past. Feels like a money grab. Another person named Lee. You spent a lot of time being dismissive of the subject. Why the sudden interest? It seems a little too convenient with disclosure being a hot subject. You've chosen now to release a book. People are hating on him, my friend.
So let me tell you why. And this is I don't really like picking sides when it talks to this. I have a little bit more higher standards, but I will go to this point when it comes to him. So Tyson hasn't been a practicing hands-on research astrophysicist in decades. I just want people to understand that. He's a professional celebrity. That's plain and simple. And he has a media brand. So his job is to protect the mainstream scientific status quo because that's what keeps him booked on late night talk shows. So a real scientist, for anybody that's wondering, looks at anomalies, things that don't fit in our current understanding of physics. And now, wow, let's study that. Tyson looking at UAP and says, that's impossible. So it must be some camera glitch. I mean, that's what he's been doing. This isn't science, it's dogma. He's
It's also
cashing in.
attitude and ego.
100%. He's cashing in. I don't want to talk smack about anybody, but in this particular case, like it's overwhelming evidence against the guy. You have millions of people that think this way. There's only a few people that I've ever talked to in my life that actually like the guy wholeheartedly. And it's because of exactly this. He is somebody that is on media for a paycheck. He is not anymore a practicing astrophysicist. So if you want to get down and dirty with what's really going on, talk to the real scientists, but they're a little bit camera shy.
My friend, it is always great, Grant Baker, to have you on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for stopping on by. We will talk to you in just a few days' time, and hopefully we'll get some sort of answer for then when the next drop is going to happen on the UFO Files. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, hell yeah, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club. And on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, everybody. Good job.
Heck yeah. All right. Can I curse now?
Sure.
I fucking hate Neil deGrasse Tyson, dude. Oh my gosh.
Well, you know what? Let's go here. Oh, man. In a few minutes, my phone is going to ring, and we will be going to New York for the good times of WABC and Walter M. Sterling. I know our good friend Paramarv, will put it on the line there. or somebody will put the link up.
I can do it if you want.
Mm-hmm. You're getting scolded by Nicole right now.
Oh, am I? Shit.
She's giving you one of these right now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You never want one of those from Nicole, man.
No. I love you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I don't know what it is I did yet. I haven't gotten to the chat. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm surprised you can't hear my son in there. I don't know what the heck he's playing, but he's 16 years old and he does this weird sound. It sounds like a little girl screaming. And he gets excited. He's playing some game with his friends online and he plays it until, I don't know, 6 a.m. Tomorrow he's got a job to do. We have to be correct so we can have better conversations and be exactly. I do agree with that. It's the reason why when I am on the radio with Dave, I keep my own opinions as close to the heart as I can, close to the chest.
Well, let's hope he farts hard.
Joe Monk, come on, man. You're kind of half right.
Joe's a half right kind of guy.
Yeah, I apologize because I actually do. She's a great person. I love her to death.
Clear.
So anybody that does want to watch this, just type in wabcradio.com and you will see their website. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see at the very bottom, it says listen live. And if you listen live, you'll hear old Davey here from Spaced Out Radio join the show. And we no longer know how long he's going to be on there. It could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes. Once he starts, you never know. Once you can hear Walter eating and then start saying something of the lines, well, Spaced Out Radio's swag, then usually it's kind of game over at that point.
Walter loves me.
Yeah.
He loves me.
He's a good guy.
He is.
He's got a big plate. I've seen his studio. That's wild, dude. It's wild looking. There's too much.
I think Walter actually, I'm not going to lie. I think he actually broadcasts out of his house.
Oh,
like
really?
In the basement, like by the laundry machine.
That'd be killer.
I hope he does. That's the vision I have.
Maybe. I mean, I dug into him a little bit, and then I saw his whole. He's basically in a glass box and has a bunch of computer monitors. A guy sitting behind the glass with a bunch more monitors and buttons, and I'm like, dude,
oh yeah,
that's too much.
It's very good. It's very good. I love it. I love doing it. Anyways, my phone should be ringing here anytime, people. Anytime.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah. Hold on. How did my download go? Why didn't my download? Oh, let's save this. Save that. Okay. Let's go here. Video. Download again. There it is. Oh my God. I hate it when the download thing. There we go.
Got it.
Hey, buddy. Do you want to say hi to my audience on YouTube before I cut them off?
Sure.
I got my phone up to my microphone here.
Okay. Hello, Dave Scott's audience. What's going on?
Oh God, your New York accent's fantastic.
Tell them we love them.
Love you, buddy. All right. To the rest of, thank you. To the rest of you, we're going to say goodnight here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Our guest will be tomorrow, Mark Christopher Lee, the man who called it for May 8th. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a good one.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.